It is not Wednesday, my dudes, but suck it up. Which means if you want something done right, make sure somebody in the party knows guidance. It is March the 1st, 2024. Session number 75.
Wow.
75, which I believe means this is now officially our longest running campaign.
Dang.
I think
We
Waterdeep
have
got
to-
to 74.
We've said it a couple times now where we're like, I think we're there or we're close or like the question has come up. So
I'm pretty sure we're definitively now there, especially if you count
Yeah.
Ascension.
yeah,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
which I think is fair to count.
yeah.
Mhm.
Well, Baronon's here.
It's part of the
so
world.
It's part of the
It was
overall
just as much work for Matthew.
constellation
Well, that's
that is. Yeah, it was more work actually. Running sessions for 4 level 18 characters on a new system that,
Yeah, on
that
the
I'm
new
getting
system.
paid to accurately represent. I don't think so. But thank you, Level Up. We love you, and we will happily do it again.
Yes, thank you very much.
If you haven't noticed, I'm a little bit under the weather, so my apologies if my tones are not as stentorian as you've become accustomed to. And also, it's a Friday night, and we've all had a long week, so, I make no promises about what lies in wait in the next few hours here. But, with that all said, how's everybody doing?
So good.
So good.
Oh, good.
Happy to hear it. As you might notice, our fourth musketeer is currently off screen, given the nature of what happened last week. If anybody would care to summarize the events of the last couple of sessions for us.
Oh no.
I realized when I went back to look at the notes that I didn't write any notes on the back half of the session because I was so invested in being like, oh fuck, oh god, what do we do?
That's how you know.
The last couple of sessions.
I'm
we
glad I
went
could
to
make that
go-
impact.
Yeah, we went to go save my brother from Mira and
That was,
Clifford
this
That's
was
right.
the aftermath.
in space.
Yep.
And then we killed one, wished away another, and the other one contingency'd herself back to our plane, our homeworld plane, and out of spite, seemingly killed Millicent's mother and took her corpse away.
What a bitch.
She is.
Both in spite and to derail us, which it worked.
Yes.
Yes.
And in our panic to try and figure out how to approach this problem, Millicent was like, fuck you guys, I'll do it myself. And
Ran
now we don't know
away.
what to do about that.
He ran away, saying that we shouldn't follow. And
That's
now
where
we're
we're
in
at.
the college.
Yes.
Yeah, and we didn't know where to go, so we were just like, let's do this other thing that we were talking about anyway.
Yeah.
We interrupt your tragedy for an extremely goofy movie.
Yeah.
The gang goes to college. Yeah, so Millicent ran away.
Millicent was here for this. She should have gone to school.
This is the education she needed.
It was a bit rough. And you guys are here with Professor Addison Gerhardt, who is a... I'm going to be giving you guys a lot of names today.
Uh-oh.
She is the professor of conjuration at the Abendrot Academy. She is a human woman, evidently Zeltish descent, and she is a compatriot of Baronon's, occupying what was millennium ago his office. She apparently is aware of his being alive and has taken some care to help safeguard his laboratory, to which he has given you guys, specifically Cinder, but implicitly the rest of the gang as well, access. You recalled that some time ago you were approached by your itinerant merchant friend, Valian Eurimnus, who had said that he had some interest in knowing what was inside this lab and if you might be able to procure any sort of thing, material, object, research, magic item, whatever happens to be in there. he would be more than happy to trade it for something of some considerable value, as he seemed to have gotten his hands on some rather spicy meatballs.
Yeah.
Back in the Steel Citadel, of which Baranon is now the sole proprietor, he spoke to you before the fight and said, "Feel free to go in there. There is something that I do not want you to mess with, and you will know that when you see it, but otherwise, do take whatever seems right for you to take. There is lots of stuff. Don't be stupid, but, desperate times and all that." And he also seems to not really have any plans to visit the material plane anytime soon, given that he is operating in a sort of lockdown state in a few days from now. So the three of you, along with 696 and Porridge, as well as somehow Casa Jumbo, are all here in the office. And Professor Gerhardt has just pointed out the entrance to Baranon's lab.
So he gave me this ring, so I imagine we just...
Yeah.
Walls just slide open.
Wow.
All right.
Well, I don't think I'm gonna fit through there, so if it's all the same to you all,
That's
Yes,
fine.
Professor
That's
Gerhardt.
fine.
I'll
Why don't
still
you
do it.
make friends with Professor Gerhardt?
Oh yeah, no, she and I go way back.
Okay.
Fair
I
enough.
I have met Casa Jumbo, actually. Those two are new. Yeah, well, if it's all the same to you, I desperately want to know what's in there. So,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'll follow right along behind you. Yeah, and I'll be right there too, right behind him.
Sounds great.
So,
I'll lead
Russ,
the way.
if you want to go ahead and walk us through what is in Baranon's lab.
Sure. So Baranon has had some time to work on this. For at least a century, he had nothing better to do. So he has stretched the demiplane to the extent of what you would imagine one could. So as soon as you enter, you first are in a comfortable-looking atrium. The walls about you are stone and very unnaturally smooth, but it seems like there's metal integrated everywhere as you look around. There's beams and pipes and things kind of running all along the walls and floors near you as you enter, and deeper in within as you see past the open foyer in front of you. Celeste, you have true sight, right? So pretty much as soon as we walk in, as we're all looking around and seeing this furnished kind of looks like a study, some big comfortable looking chairs, a few smaller bookshelves and lamps and things of that nature, and some doors off to one side. You see a little dude, invisible, just kind of sitting like dead center in front of the door with a couple feet ahead of us.
What does he look like?
It's an imp.
Hello?
Hi.
Hi. Oh. who are you
I
talking
don't think she's talking to us, mate.
No, sorry. There's a little guy in front of the door, but I believe he's invisible.
Oh, hello. Yes, you can see me.
Oh.
Makes himself visible.
Oh.
I assume that you are the travelers that I was told would be coming from the Lord of the Laboratory.
Yes.
Very well. My name is Irix. I serve the Master of the Laboratory, Master Baranon. I've been told to show you around and make sure you don't get into any trouble and find everything you need. So if you have any questions, I will be about.
Oh, wow.
Great.
Oh,
Thank you.
Right, yeah.
I love it.
Uh,
Where does he
Mm.
keep his research?
I mean,
Regarding what?
Um,
He does much research.
What are the different flavors?
Uh,
Can you
well,
list off like 2?
there's the room dedicated to the movement of the planes. That tends to be the interest of most people. He has his research into goings on the material plane and the magical people and events and things of that nature. He has his workshop where he has created different things and transcribed and things of that sort. Does one of those interest you, perhaps?
Oh yeah, I like the sound of the workshop.
Please follow me.
Oh, okay.
Flaps over, grabs a big, like comically large key ring off the wall and carries it along with him as we progress. As soon as you get past the kind of entryway there, you open into this large circular chamber, and eye level with you, there's a enormous contraption that seems to span several floors of complex machinery, metal, and moving components. And if anybody's ever seen an orrery, it's an old way of it's a gear-based mechanism to show the movement of planets, and you can kind of tick it along and see how things move over time.
It's like a
And
big 3D astrolab, basically.
and he has basically made a room scale orrery to track the movement of planes. And you see along one wall there, there's some like paintings as you go along, and then hanging on one wall there's a like rack that appears to have different forks sitting next to like what looks like a control panel for whatever this device is. And it has a big walkway kind of going around it so that you can view it from all sides. And Irix the imp takes you off around that walkway to heading towards another hallway off on one side. The hallway is fairly nondescript, sparsely furnished aside from the areas where it would seem he would stay. So as you progress along, there's a doorway that leads you into the workshop. Immediately dominating your view as you walk in there is a giant mechanical crab and what appears to be a deconstructed second one, kind of tucked in the corner of the room. There are multiple workbenches all around, a couple of bookshelves for what appear to be notes and things of that nature. Rook, you immediately see an alchemy setup on one of the benches. What appears to be a workbench for transcribing, and another like kind of tinkerers, more mechanical focused. And then on one wall you see a humanoid body that looks somewhat like a warforged that you would expect to see, but somewhat different. It's in a big like frame, being held up kind of Vitruvian Man style. It looks like it's got some wires running to and from it and some runes carved around it, and looks like is a subject of study. And there's a kind of a missing central core that you can immediately see.
Eric's, multiple questions.
Yes.
Number 1, and perhaps most importantly, what's with the crab?
Those are apparati that the master has created. You can pilot it to move around in areas of high pressure, difficult to breathe, things like that.
Wow. How does he get that thing around? It's so big, though.
He has teleported it places and then driven it
Ah.
from there. It has not seen use in a very long time. It was more for when he took on students. It was a method for them to go out and retrieve materials and things that he needed for his research.
Damn. I would have liked to pilot the crab, but no teleporting amongst us.
Well, I believe it is still functional if you can discern a way to get it out of here. I don't imagine he would be loath to part with it.
You know, we should really invest as a group in a bag of holding that is not...
A bag?
Well, I just mean not attached to somebody that is no longer here.
Oh, right. She left with that, didn't she?
Well, if that is something you require, and he goes over and opens up a drawer and pulls out
Wow.
a bag.
Offhand.
Here-
Would you have a
Can we have
portable
that?
hole?
Probably in here somewhere, yes.
Oh, can the crab fit in the portable hole?
I don't know. I have not driven the crab, nor have I been in charge of managing the size of the hole.
All right, we'll put a pin in that for a second. What's with the guy up with that? Not guy, I guess. What's with the one of the robot figure?
Yes, the master brought him back from a expedition to a place that he had been long ago with some of his compatriots. Apparently, this and another like it opposed their progress as they were exploring a strange city of some sort. Points to a painting on the wall near it, and it is a very modern-looking city with what it would appear to be, to us, a steam train that nobody would know what the hell that is, but he appears to have a painting of Panacea on the wall. Brought it back. He wished to study it as time progressed and the Warforged became more common. There were parallels in design to something that he had seen from a much older craftsman and wizard of the ages even beyond the master, and it's been a subject of study for him.
Hmm. Were they, if you know, were they awakened like now back then?
These were under the control of the original creator, but they were able to move somewhat autonomously from what he described. I don't know that they match the awakening that you are referring to, though that is another field of his study.
Oh. Did he keep notes on that here?
Not in this room, but yes, in his personal study there are notes on many such occurrences and magical phenomenon that have been happening over the ages. We could go there as well if you would like.
Yeah. Maybe we'll circle back later and try to put the crab in the hole, but
Is there anything else you would like to see in here? It looks like all of the workbenches are filled with stuff.
Um,
uh,
do you or did they have any means to track the rates at which the planes are, I guess did probable acceleration for how they've been changing and how much they've increased movement towards each other?
Yes, that was one of his prime fields of study that he dedicated much of his time towards. The contraption that we walked by on the way in is integral to that study. It allows you to tune some of the metal that you're seeing around. The forks that are used for interplanar travel by most beings capable of such magics are attuned to a plane or a location. One of the things that the master has discovered in his studies is that doesn't just have to be a fork used in that spell. All metals, if they originate or have a strong enough tie to that plane, can be attuned to it. So he has taken material from all of the planes that he has visited and used that to create a very accurate representation of their motion. And when you attune the device to a plane that you wish to see, you can track it over many, many centuries of movement. It was originally intended to try to predict mathematically where things would progress to, but much to his frustration, it seems that they have changed from his original models.
Okay.
And then there is another room specifically focusing on the movement of the Shadowfell.
oh, we should probably
Yeah,
take a look at that.
that checks out.
It is an object of particular interest to him.
Yeah,
Well,
and now us, by proxy.
by proxy of not wanting to die via Shadowfell.
Well, you fight with this guy out there, and you don't realise that he's really just a big nerd.
Well, that's true.
Oh, Barry?
Yeah.
Um, most wizards are nerds.
Oh, all right.
I'm-
Yeah.
I believe he is more of a scholar than a fighter, and if you found yourself in a situation to fight alongside him, things have gone very poorly in recent days.
Oh, yeah. No.
They have.
They have.
I'm sorry to hear it.
What am
It's
I
been
like?
some
We're only
time
like 2
since I
years
think
old,
he's
man.
done field work such as that.
I think
It's
you would
got to be
avoid
at
it.
least a couple hundred years since he last engaged directly.
Oh, yeah.
Is there anything interesting on the alchemy bench?
You can go over and take a look. Basically, as many materials as you can think of. Matthew, feel free to, if I overstep or if you have anything in specific you want.
No, yeah, he's got like the essential oils version of all of the ingredients that you have familiarity with. They're like distilled, much more
Yes.
potent, concentrated kind of powders
And he'll basically have it all arranged in like racks, so it'll be like progressing from different uses and potencies, like starting at the most common and moving up to rare, and then below that he'll have an arrangement of potions of each of those individual things. So it's like at the healing section there'll be a potion, there'll be the essence of the healing materials from weakest to strongest, and a potion made with each of them in front of it. And kind of sitting central, you see some strange looking crystals that look like they probably came from a place that we've never been, and a very fine looking, almost decanter glass bottle, crystal, carved with intricate patterns, and there's like a swirling blue effect in it. Doesn't look like any potion you've seen.
Irix, what is this special one over here? The crystal decanter?
That is one of the more recent projects that Master Baronon has worked on. It is uses this station for its ability to work with fine bottles and crafting and things like that, but it's actually more magical in nature. It's fairly heavily enchanted. It's able to store and use spells.
Oh. Wow. I respect this guy so much. Eris, can I take any of this?
The master instructed me to ensure you're able to access and retrieve anything that you desire.
Wow.
He did request that you don't leave him destitute, but I imagine
yes,
that would
of
be
course.
difficult for most folk.
You see 96 just like picking up a stool and then puts it down.
But yes, if you're asking if you can have the spell bottle, should think so.
I take it.
He did say that you, in particular, I assume you are Mr. Rook.
That's me, yes.
Yes, he did think that you would have particular interest in this room and that station. He told me to make sure that you saw it before you left.
Password that I appreciate it very much.
I imagine you will likely see him before I do.
All right.
Is there anything else that he earmarked for us to take a look at?
I believe there are some tomes that will be of interest to your party in the study. He expected you to be interested in the orrery and this room. The tuning forks, and there's perhaps some historical interest as well. He mentioned that you have interest in the saints and their items and things of that nature. He has some of the prototypes of his focus that he still uses to this day, and he thought perhaps you would be interested in seeing some of those as well.
Oh.
Yes, very much so.
Do these essence bottles or whatever, are they just like a dose of each stuff?
I would
Is
say
what it
that each
basically consist
one
of?
would be like 100 gold's worth of each ingredient.
Can I just take one of each?
Go nuts.
Just- Wow. All right.
Also in this room, he's a craftsman and has made many magical items over the years, so I would imagine common and uncommon stuff, like when you asked about the bag, shit like that, he probably just has on hand. So if there's anything we're looking for, probably find it in here. So, Matthew, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I would feel like a bag and a hole would both be
pretty much that. Yeah, they would be in
Definitely.
specially guarded areas because this is a demiplane and such things can be dangerous in such places.
Yeah, that checks.
Earlooks would have access to it and be in a
Yes, I suppose we
Secure.
could not put the crab in the hole in here.
not in here, no.
Yes.
Yeah, well, I imagine you could, but it would be ill-advised.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think the crab is necessary.
Cinder would take interest in that body with Zarksfoy and go take a look at it. as well.
Yeah.
This is going to be weird for me remembering to play my character and the little dweeb that I
Oh,
made
yeah.
up for this. I'm going to be focusing on not forgetting anything for the dweeb and then not talk his
So,
thunder.
yeah,
so
don't worry. That's why Zark's voice here.
he would go over there with Zarks and take a look at it at least. Does that core look like something similar to what we've done before with you and the others?
I can give it a try. Worked in
It would be
space.
interesting.
Ooh.
And make
Yeah, go be an ancient being.
make a wisdom check. Yeah, you see him just kind of push himself out of the wooden bot that he's been in and into the form of this larger thing. Make a roll for him. Oh, it's a natural 20. Okay. You see him just kind of like, this is weird. Hang on. And he just kind of like, you see his form just kind of dissipate for a second, and the helmet of the creature just kind of lights up with this orange eyes that just kind of shift to white, that just seem to look like his eyes again. And you can see flame just kind of coming out of all of the various spots where the armor connects. And for a second, you almost lose the bond with him that you have for just a mere moment before it comes roaring back to you. And you can see he just kind of begins to shake and vibrate, and the whole thing begins to turn like this dull red, then orange, then white, then blue, as it just seems to be raging with this heat. And in a flash, the whole thing just kind of seems to melt into this white ball of plasma that just shoots back towards the small wooden form that he has. And he just seems to kind of sit there and smoke inside it for a moment.
Dark?
That was interesting.
What
So,
the hell just happened?
He can now turn into that form for a minute a day.
Oh, okay. With the stat block?
Yes.
Okay.
And it will be a bonus action for you to transform him that way.
Okay. That's not exactly how I imagined that happening.
No, I didn't know what the hell was going to happen.
Is it
But
just...
it's like it's part of my repertoire now.
Oh.
Okay.
Will you look just like that thing did?
I don't know. You want to try it? Are we fighting anything today?
I hope not.
I don't know.
It sounds like Rook wants to go fight some nerds.
Yeah, there's two nerds here I want to kill.
Well, then let's hold on to it.
We'll
I
save
guess.
it, but
I'm just saying that, perhaps we go back to our guy. We just show him that body and say like, hey, this was inside the lab. And that's good, right?
yeah, well, I think occupying whatever that thing was when we were in space sort of unlocked a new thing for me.
Like
All right.
robotics.
Yeah, like I just figured out how to, through using this thing and also that, I think I could do more things with it now.
That seems pretty good.
Yeah.
So there
Suppose
will
it's not
be some
all that different from how you and I originally...
there will be some
worked.
constructs that he can basically add to his Pokédex and
Okay.
or his Omnitrix, as the case may be.
Yeah, his Omnitrix.
All right. Okay. Interesting.
Wow.
So that he can be useful in combat in different ways.
This place is pretty great.
It has been a labor of many centuries. I am here to simply... I don't really know. I was originally here to aid the master and keep things flowing and working, clean and such, but he has not had the time to work here in some time, so I've... well, it's a demi-plane. It doesn't get dusty. Anyway, is there anything else of interest to you in this space, or would you like to see something else?
You have an immovable rod.
Probably. Go rummage around and here you go.
Thank you. You could come and use sometime.
I shudder to think how.
I can be very creative.
Put that thing on a grid liner. Woo!
Yeah, exactly. See?
Terrorism via stick.
Rook, we're all kind of looking around, but I feel like this is a thing that Rook would notice. There is in one corner of the room everything else so far has seemed fairly either ornate or carefully designed. There is one thing that just looks solid and hefty. There is like a metal box on a little podium with what appear to be like crystalline chains and a big lock on it. That's just kind of in a corner.
Yeah,
Feels like a thing Rook would
I'll
notice.
go over towards that, yeah. Hey, what's this thing?
That is. Well, I'm not really sure. The master never allowed me to be in his presence when he works with it. I'm told it's something of great power and great risk.
Can I take a look?
I suppose you could try. It is the one thing to which I do not have a key.
Alright, I'll have a crack at it.
You approach it, and you see a little note sitting on top of it, folded
Oh.
up.
Well, I suppose I look at this first, yes.
It's a note from Baranon.
Die.
It just says, "Hello, Mr. Rook. I assumed you would be interested in the scariest thing you could find. Earlooks will give you access to everything that you need here, but this one I'm afraid I can't in good conscience give you without a little work. Best of luck
Alright.
should you choose to pursue it."
Alright.
Anyway.
So what did it say?
He said I could give it a try.
I just imagine you crumpling up the note and you're like, cool, and just like,
That's not thoughtful.
anyways.
This is worthless.
I'll try at the lock.
Leave that to Matthew. I didn't set the DC.
Well, I was thinking 30.
Damn it. Guide?
I'm sure there's guidance here.
Yeah.
Give me a little help with this here, Celeste?
There you go.
Thank you. Wow.
Well, it's out, but you
What does Arcane Lock do?
Increases it by 10.
Okay, so yeah, it would have been 30. So I guess he opens it. And
Take
he
off the chain.
doesn't
start
proc
opening
the effect.
Start opening up the metal box, and inside you find a smaller box, carved leather, with a keyhole, but the key is hanging from a string around it. You're a man of the world. You know about the size of a deck of cards.
Oh.
This looks like a deck box.
Oh, is there another note in here?
No,
Okay. Wow. Looks like a deck of cards or something.
sure.
That seems almost impossibly dull. That can't be all it is.
Yeah.
Has anybody heard of an item like this?
Anybody who wants to can make an Arcana check.
I maybe give myself guidance on this.
Just a deck of cards.
It's a deck of
Oh
illusions.
my God.
Fuck you.
Just a deck of illusions.
Dude, every time I roll Arcana, it's ass.
Well, Cinder?
I can roll.
Yeah, the cinder or
We're not getting it with this big 12. Yeah.
How about a 9?
Impossibly, none of you has any idea what this is.
wow.
Hey.
Well,
Why
if
would you
Baranon,
put this deck of cards here?
if Baranon protected it at that level, and didn't want to give it to us for free, though I feel he could have probably guarded it better than that if he wanted to.
I mean, also too, before we just jump right into that, is there any like device in here that like there, something for identify? Because I'm sure he has it automated somehow.
Yeah, I would like to identify it before I loose whatever's in here.
I don't imagine that there's a device for such things. The Master is able to cast certain lower level magics at will, and I believe that is one that he keeps in his repertoire. But he
Okay.
does have a scroll of most things that you could think of, so we
Oh.
could certainly go find that.
Yes, please.
Would you care to go to the arcane study?
Yeah, let's go.
All right.
Yep.
Takes you out of there. Go back into the Ori. Go around. Similar situation. Hallway on the other side. Another door. Brings you into a lab, or now the study. There's a big, heavy desk. Many bookshelves along the wall. And at the desk, there's behind it on the wall a big rack made for scrolls, and each one looking at it for a minute, it's pretty easy to start figuring out how it's organized. It's okay, cantrip first, second, and it's just rows of scrolls all the way down the line for each level of spell. Yes, over here, one. Okay. This is not conjuration. This is here. Identify.
Thanks. Can I just cast this?
You do have to make an Arcana check.
Okay.
Is it on the bard list?
I have no
That's
idea.
never mattered.
Probably
for us.
Okay. Gotta get a little guidance just
We
in case.
just let people
Yeah.
use scrolls
Okay.
around these parts.
Right, that was my question, because if it was on the bard list, does he need to
Okay.
make a check because it's a spell that he could ostensibly know?
I
Well,
got
it's-
a 20.
I think if he has to make a check regardless, unless it's a spell
Okay.
that he actually knows right now.
Already. Oh, actually knows. Got it. Okay,
Yeah.
never mind.
I identify it.
It is exactly what you think it is. But I am, at this time, going to have each of you roll me a d20 because there are 4 cards missing from this deck.
Oh.
Okay.
I have a randomized list of which
Why?
ones those are.
Wow.
And Lindsay, you can roll one as well.
Whoa. Yay. Woohoo.
Having a time.
Having a good time.
Now we got rid of all the best ones.
You got rid of...
Yep.
Let me see. I'm not going to tell you exactly what ones they are, but...
Yeah. Good or bad? Or
I
new.
remember 20 being crazy. I don't remember if it was
I
crazy
have-
good or
I have
crazy
my
bad. but I
own.
remember-
Yeah.
I have my
Never
own
mind then.
list. You actually got rid of 2 good ones and 2 bad ones.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So,
Hmm.
it's still game breaking, but not as
Yeah.
much as it could have been.
I'll hold on to this deck of cards for a rainy day.
So what is it?
Oh, you draw a card, and there's some very, very powerful magic that comes out of it.
Yes, for anyone following along at home, this is in fact a deck of many things. The
It does some crazy stuff.
world famous D&D item
Designed to ruin campaigns
that will
and break
effectively
DM.
end things. I have adjusted it slightly and removed those 4 cards from the list, but otherwise, it's fair game
Oh, sweet God.
for the not for the faint of heart.
And for the party, most of this I made up, and there was a list of certain things that Matthew required be in this lab. That was one of them. I didn't give us that.
Oh yeah, that feels important.
That wasn't from me.
I am not trying to foist the responsibility for this off onto Russ. This was all my fault.
That was a
I
Matthew
did this
plan.
to myself
It's
Okay.
mine
You
now.
can self-sabotage.
until somebody.
But as soon
did.
as Matthew said that it was there, I was like, I'm gonna dedicate it to Rook because he's gonna be the one that picks it up. There's no other person that could possibly carry that in our party. So
All mine. All right.
sitting open at the desk, you see what is probably the largest spell book anybody has seen. In a quick perusal of the various shelves in there, it looks like there are more spell books. Different binding styles, different handwritings, different everything. Looks like not all of them originate from Baranon. There's some various tomes and notes and things about the arcane happenings of the world, stuff that Baranon has found in his studies, what appears to be some studies of things that Baranon went and sequestered away from the world when he found things happening, or notes such as that. Rook, if you were one of the people glancing, it wouldn't be too hard for you to find something and notice it was your father's handwriting.
What?
Pull it out and open it up, and
Yeah.
it's one of his notebooks about the castle project.
Oh.
Yes, I do believe that you would recognize that. The master does not interfere with progress of things in the material plane. He does not wish to overstretch his authority, but when there are discoveries that could bear ill, or things that could potentially go down a bad road in the wrong hands, he did not see fit to leave that in the hands of a would-be tyrant after the experiment was complete, so he recovered them.
Yeah, that was very good of him. I'll leave it here.
There's other similar tomes. Is anybody gonna go through this? Because I can like rattle a few things off. Like you're
I would start poking through things within reason.
the notes nerd.
Yeah.
So there would be multiple spell books from many prominent wizards throughout history. One of the most notable there is Karzire, the saint of evocation. The most interesting book that you would find probably pretty quickly is this large, very intricately inscribed. It's 2 thin sheets of wood are its cover, and it appears to be a assortment of pamphlets and treatises and writings from various authors that has been assembled together. And flipping through it as you start to look, you recognize there's a section in here written by Baranon, there's a section written by Karzire, there's a section written by, and as you go, it's all of the saints of magic that Baranon has interacted with and known of over the years. And Matthew, this was my idea for the tome.
I like it.
They are treatises not on the magic itself and spells and things of that nature, but more on the interaction of an individual with the weave and the different schools of magic, and how, Baranon is a master of conjuration, and so the actual way that you pull such magics from the weave itself is different than it is from other schools, and it's that sort of kind of investigating into the nature of magic and how people interact with it. And it is a tome of what's called clear thought.
Yeah. You just hear Aeleth. Oh, I remember writing something for that.
What did he know all of you? Did you?
I don't know if he knew all of us, but he didn't know me. Briefly, anyway.
Interesting. What is it?
I believe if you dedicate quite some time to studying this, you should find yourself bolstered intellectually. Quite a
It's
bit.
the +2 int book.
Ooh.
However, gritty realism, so you have to read it for much longer.
Basically, have to do a semester.
Yeah, it's like a night class. Yeah, so trying to do math. Which is hard. So
You can circle
normally
back
it was
Yeah.
6 days.
I bet you have more books like this. I don't know.
Now it is 40 days.
Oh,
It's a lot of downtime.
quite some time.
8 long rests. 6, no. It says you have to spend 48 hours normally, so that would be what, 6 long rests? So it's 6 long rests. I know, in this as well.
Is that something that you could, on a short rest, spend some time
Yeah,
with
as
and
well.
chip
You could do
away
that
at?
as well. Yeah.
Also, in the bookshelves, there's in addition to the notes about the castle project, there are notes on Prixon's ritual. There's notes on the Institute. There's notes on the genies, and there's a note on their incursion and their movement and their timeline as they settled, founded their libraries, and even some notes on his interactions with several of them. Appears he had at least a somewhat working relationship with the 3 friendly ones, Otho, Gaius, and Juliet, but never interacted with Nero. But he does have a accounting of his best guess at what he thinks Nero might have in his library that would be items of concern.
Yeah. Does he have anything about Ben Zakir's hoard or whatever? Like whereabouts he might think it is or something like that? I don't know.
He would know that he has a large collection of mostly primordium kept in his place underneath the city.
And he would have notes about the movement to Almarna from Oasis in their timeline.
From
I'd like to read some
Ivory
about
City.
the Institute
Ivory
as
City.
well.
Over to you, Matthew, on what details
Yeah,
are in there.
he-
But I
he
just figured
is-
that'd be something that interested him.
There's not a ton more than the information that you guys have already gotten from Celerio. It
All right.
seems to be a strange physical anchor point. And this was kind of what helped him to discover that the material plane is not necessarily as we imagine it. Because there is no planar travel required at the Institute. It is merely walking up a staircase and into a different area, and somehow that transports you all the way across to the other side of the sun. It is an anchor point that is very strangely like it's at the same place in the world, because it's the highest mountaintop in the Gotteskopf range and the lowest cavern on the other side. So it's like you're walking up into one and out of the other. He's not sure how anybody discovered this, or if they're aware of the ramifications of its discovery, if they know what it says about the interplanar connection here, but it is of note, and it is it seems to be unrelated to the lattice, near as he can tell.
Huh.
But I would say he, in his notes on Nero, the Ifriti, he also notes that he has taken to calling himself by a different name in recent years, which he imagines is trying to distance himself from his siblings, which is why some of them know him as Braze as well, and his children know him by that name. But he suspects that he has a number of artifacts belonging to various saints who are of the more intrepid variety, who may have tried to get them from him. A vast amount of just pure, like, physical wealth, as well as other similar tomes to the one that he has here that were written in ages long gone by scholars of older times. And he has heard perhaps of a number of artifacts and relics that are specifically used for summoning and or slaying various demons and devils, which he was of particular interest in due to the various demonic incursions that were occurring in his time, and also what's occurring in the other plane as well. He also has a couple of scribbled notes that he is concerned about, but has no real proof of of a certain six-fingered disembodied hand that he has heard some tales of and fears that perhaps Nero has that in his possession as well.
Oh, good, another campaign killer.
You know it.
I mean, I do very much want to visit that guy, because got he's got the guitar.
Yes, the master of the laboratory has also had great interest in interacting with this individual, but never found a way to do so that would not require force, and that's usually something that he is unwilling to do in matters with the material plane. You've been around for as long as he has. Causing changes can have unintended ripple effects.
Mm.
I imagine if you wish to go treat with Nero, you may have more success.
I imagine we'd have to trade something.
That tends to be how he does business.
I mean, we do kind of have a little extra good stuff, right? Kind of.
Kind
Most of the
of.
stuff we use, but
I mean, we have a couple
I know
artifacts
two
that could potentially be trade-worthy.
potentially, and I have 2 rare items that I could offer to trade: the
Like,
healer bee and the Cirrusquito.
I've got the pan, and it's useful, but I am not opposed to trading it for something more useful, should that be required.
Also
No.
note, Nero does do business with Benzakir, and depending on when Benzakir has given him, he might not be willing to trade with us. I'm not sure what their working relationship is, but as a note.
Yeah, also, if he feels like he could just kill us and take whatever we have,
Does sound
he
like
might
that's how
just
he's
do
come
that.
across a number of his items that he is
I
currently
mean,
in
we're
possession of.
pretty strong, but
Then we
he's a
kill him
genie.
first.
Yeah.
He has been around a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, I
And
don't
also,
quite feel ready to kill a genie yet.
that, and also, even though he's an asshole, the ramifications of killing one of the 4 genies seems like there's going
That
to be
as well.
something there.
That was going to be my thought. I'm
I
not so
think we
much
need
worried
to
about it.
find something to like bind him and then take his shit. But
Turn him into a turtle or something. I don't know. It
It's
wouldn't
worked
work.
in the past.
It's
That is a
I'm sure there's spells for
difficult
it, but
conundrum.
not ones that I can do. Hmm. Do
Well,
the
if
genies come from other planes, right? Or no?
yes, they are from the Primordium, but they have been on this plane for quite some time. Their ties here are very deep. Should
So
there
if
be
one were to
magics?
banish them,
Eh, at this point,
would this
who's to
more so be their home, or maybe the other one?
it would be a
I
better
don't know.
question for Master Baronon, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
Such magics are available here, of course. Many of them are conjuration in nature or abjurative. Conjuration
Oh,
is
yes.
Baronon's expertise. And
Oh, does
of
he
gestures.
perhaps have another spell scroll for teleport? I used the one up earlier. I
Baronon,
imagine that would be in short supply, but
he has.
it's a 7th level. Oh yeah, I guess if he knows it or not.
I think it was. Did you give me a level
What's-
limit, Matthew?
Yeah, I think up to 7 is what I said.
Yeah. He has everything for conjuration and evocation up to 7. Every spell.
I say maybe we just take one teleport, one teleportation circle. I don't know. Do we think we should take more of the teleportation circles? Those are a little lower.
those sorts of magics are things that the master is able to do with relative ease compared to your average caster. I certainly think he would be fine with parting with those.
I'll
Oh,
take
great.
3.
Oh no, up to you, Matthew, however many there are of the various
I would
stuff.
say,
2.
trying to go mathematically here, I will say he's got. This is more of like a record keeping thing, so he'll just have 2 of each spell.
Alright, yeah.
But you probably would not want you to leave him without any of a particular one, so you could probably take 1
Take 1 of each.
of
Got
a
it.
given spell.
Sounds good to me.
So what are you taking?
Just 1 teleport and 1 teleportation circle.
Great.
Scroll, yeah. I would just like us to have more ease getting around. Obviously not so much in Zeltenbrock, but outside of here, other than relying on our flying saucer.
I'm gonna grab an evocation spell. I'm gonna grab a force cage.
Sounds good, yeah.
I don't know if I'll be able
Oh.
to cast it if I read it, but I'll try.
Is it just conjuration or is it just one of every
Conjuration and
spell?
conjuration and evocation.
An evocation of the wizard list.
Yes.
Okay.
Wizard. Oh wait. Hold on. Does he have Steel Wind Strike?
If it's a wizard spell, that's conjuration or evocation. He's got it.
Oh, let me see what that is.
There might be some magics there to your interest of binding this individual, if that's something you're attempting to do. Similarly, there is an artifact that the master has had for some time that I don't think he has intent of using. It is able to contain an extraplanar entity, but be warned, it is currently occupied.
Wait, what? Sorry, I was looking at. Sorry, say that
He's just
again.
like looking at all these scrolls, like what?
There's a lot. There's a lot going on here.
The master has an artifact that could be potentially useful if in this endeavor that you're speaking of with the genie, able to contain extraplanar entities, but be warned, it is currently occupied.
By what?
Difficult to describe. An entity of the astral sea.
Oh,
Benign, but large. Difficult to.
like if we let it out. Oh, okay.
If you were to let
If
it
we were
out.
to let it out, it would want to kill us.
No, it's the item has influence on the creature within. It would be
Oh.
amicable for some time.
Oh.
Beyond that time, not so sure.
Oh, that sounds great.
If you are to try to release the current occupant and use it for your uses, please do so somewhere else, not here.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. It is astral entity, sort of a whale.
He has a whale.
This is the best approximation that I would imagine you would be familiar with.
All right.
Yeah, okay.
Did you say the spells go up to
7?
7th level?
Mhm.
Okay.
God, I wish I could pull up Barry sheet to remember what his spells were.
Ah,
Oh,
whale. How big is this whale?
Enormous.
Gargantuan.
Wasn't that the thing we saw in like the
We
Astral Sea that like was a bus?
Yes.
Yeah, we saw this bus whale.
Yeah.
This is basically a space Uber in a bottle that you could call.
I'm gonna take a spell scroll of contingency.
Just make sure you're writing them down.
Oh, I am.
I'm also trying to look at common and uncommon items because I feel like I would have something I would want to find, but I'm paying attention to Imp Man, not thinking about it.
True.
Do we have the periaps that we broke out of the abyss with yet? Because those are both uncommon.
We do not. I
That could-
don't think so.
Let's see if there is one of those.
Oh, is Awaken not a wizard scroll spell?
I feel like it's just druid.
Damn it.
I've had access to that for months.
was the one
We've
that-
never bothered to use it. It's shitty.
What was the one that Well, I just think it's funny.
It is funny.
What was the one that wobbles near the
Animate
made the little-
objects.
Oh, okay.
Major fucking Sorcerer's Apprentice shovel.
yeah.
I'm trying to remember what Baradon's unique spells were, because he had the special gate. He
Oh,
had
he had so many.
he had the Misty Step, I think.
Yeah. There was a fire one.
There was the carriage thing. Can I find a scroll for that?
Yeah. And
Oh,
also the worm one.
I was going to say the worm.
Hell yeah! Can I find a scroll for that? I don't even remember what level that spell is.
I'm trying to
Pretty
find it.
high.
Wormway.
Wormway. That's right.
Worm.
Yeah, you guys can also look at the level up spells for this.
Oh.
Wormway is enchantment.
Oh,
I
well,
don't
then
think he had a
doesn't
special
have-
version. I think he just knew it.
Yeah, and he doesn't have that.
What the hell was that carriage spell that I had? You could like make like like an unseen servant basically, but it was like a car.
I don't know.
Um,
The reopen rift is pretty good.
Ooh. I'm taking a spell scroll of Crown of Stars.
It's good.
Yeah.
oh, you're right, Matthew. I want reopen rift.
Okay, you can take that one.
um. I have the level up items list up, and it's a bunch of random shit that I don't think is useful. There are a lot of common and uncommon items in there.
There are still also a couple of rooms left, I believe.
There are indeed.
All right. I feel like I've looted this place enough. Let's go.
What else would you have interest in seeing, or are you just hoping to peruse the entire laboratory?
We are here, and also the probability of us getting back here is very slim, so
Yeah, let's see what else he's got.
We might as well just peruse.
We might as well just do a little perusal.
Just a little perusing.
Certainly.
Little perusal
Takes-
never hurt no one.
Takes us out of here. If you continue down this hallway, there is a specific chamber for containing an entity that the master has been working with. They're a
Oh
bit
yes.
unsavory, but you're welcome to inspect if you so desire.
We might as well.
All right. Just wary of your communications. Flutters towards it,
Always.
opens it up, and walk into a larger than expected room at the end of this hallway, and you have a like SeaWorld-esque like wall, like glass tank filled with a brackish water, and there's a shadowy, kind of murky form in the haze of the water. Matthew, I'll let you
Yeah, I'll
take
do
this
that.
one.
Let me get you a picture of this fella.
Uh-huh.
As it approaches the wall.
Sure looks
Oh, I
great.
don't have a picture of it. Well, it's kind of
no.
like... It's kind of like a really fucked up one of these guys. Kind of like bits of it decaying off and almost seeming to turn to like this glowing ash away from its form as it just kind of slams these three eyes up against the glass.
Did we fight this thing in the
believe,
past?
I believe you did.
Okay. Hello. I heard you somewhat worked with Barry.
Somewhat. I
What?
trade in secrets,
Yeah?
knowledge.
Where do you come from?
Places far beyond your ken. The dark, thrumming, deep depths of existence. Where all is flesh, oozing and dripping down.
That
So-
sounds like a nice place.
I see inside your mind, metal man. You want for things. Blood.
Yeah.
Chaos, but blood.
Yeah, both correct, yes.
These ones, do they give you the blood you seek?
More recently, actually, yeah.
Very well, then. What would you wish for more?
Oh, I accidentally put the stream back on the wrong thing. Look at that.
Oh, no.
Spoiler alert.
See.
Just ignore that. There is one you seek above the others.
Yeah.
A new threat piercing the veil, pushing through. She devours the ones closest. No. I see her. She is the heir of them all.
Yes, we pieced together that much.
They who brought me here with my associates. The rest of the aberrant creatures. We fed upon the energy of their coming and going. As they duplicate across, so too does our strength. Would you desire some of that strength?
No, I think I'm good.
You lie.
No, you're kind of gross.
I see what you are. I see what you want.
Is he saying all this out loud or in Rook's head?
You all can hear it, but he is saying it telepathically.
Into everyone's head. Awesome.
Yep.
Great. Loudspeaker.
Nice broadcast.
You would let your associates flee from you. I see what your true nature is. You are the blood you seek. You become what you do.
Hmm.
Fear it not. Embrace it. Let the light blind you so you can see the dark.
Yeah, I think I'm
Yeah,
good with this guy.
I'm good with this guy. Yeah.
You will return for what I have.
We'll see about that. All right.
As
All
we
right,
all
buddy. What's the next room?
usher out, Eric's is like, I warned you, he's less than
I
pleasant.
don't like that guy now.
No.
Not all that the master keeps in company are as amicable as myself, I'm afraid.
Oh, wow.
Starts puttering along.
Was
What
that
does
like
he
an
eat?
octopus? No,
Yeah.
answer his question first.
I truly don't know. I have not been required to see to such needs. I'm
Probably
not
some
convinced
stupid
he
shit
has
like
them.
he feasts on thoughts or something.
Oh yeah, that sounds right. Stupid octopus.
Yeah, some
All I
stupid
know is he's
octopus
been
shit.
around a long time. Do you have interest in the Ori, perhaps?
Yeah.
Yes,
Let's
please.
see what's going on with the Shadowfell.
Oh, well, if you wish to know specifically of that plane, we can come here first. Takes you further around
Sorry,
Ori.
Celeste.
It's okay.
I mean,
I'll save the best for last.
I imagine we're gonna see everything, right?
Yeah.
Yes, I.
Takes you, so like the entryway, directly on the other side of it for the fourth hallway to go down. There are a series of doors down this hallway, and it ends rather abruptly in what appears to be a large iron circular gate. On the left, there are two doors. One of them is a flat, perfect piece of wood that you can't even see image or any evidence of it being carved or hewn from anything. It looks like it was grown where it stands, and there's no handle on that door. Then next to it, there is another one and a couple more. This is the area of the laboratory which the master is the most sensitive about. I imagine we are not to enter there. This room, pointing to the one after it, is where he manages his longevity, I suppose would be a good way of phrasing it. You're welcome to see it if you are interested.
Oh yeah, I
Is it
want
like
to see.
Sure.
is it like his skincare routine? What?
Yeah.
Not exactly. Open it up and you see
Yeah.
a row of multiple, like, large glass tanks that are hooked up to not sure what, but it seems to be flowing liquid in and out. And two of them have clones of Baranon. One has a clone of some little old gnome man, and two of them are currently empty.
Who's that guy?
You didn't tell me.
He doesn't know.
I'm not sure. One of the master's associates, who clearly is a caster of the sufficient circle to know this magic.
Oh.
Takes a rare breed to be allowed to store their clone within the master's chambers, but I suppose he's known him for some time.
Would
And the-
anyone?
Wow.
Would any one of us like recognize him offhand?
Oh,
Like,
do I
he's-
maybe have an idea?
Either of you could make a history check. Cinder, no.
Well, the fact that he's in there means whoever this is alive and running around somewhere, right? Theoretically.
Damn. Okay, well.
Celeste, this is somebody who you have met one time in the past, quite a while ago, and he's much older here than you remember him being, but seems to be Headmaster Ronziver Grabblepibs.
Yeah.
Of the
Oh my
Abendrot
God.
Academy.
Wow.
Yes, that is my favorite NPC name I've ever come up with. Thank you for asking.
I'm sorry.
You're all right. I'll write it down
Thank
for
you.
That's the guy I want to save here.
Well, luckily, he has a backup plan if things do go awry.
That's wonderful to hear. Because things may go awry.
That's the only way things go when we're here.
It's
Yeah,
true.
awry is more of a norm than a.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting that you know who this is. Then there you go. Yes, the two clones of the master have not been used in quite some time. He's been doing well lately, I suppose.
I mean, elves have a long lifespan, and if he's just been dedicating to research instead of fighting, I'm not that surprised.
Planar exploration comes with its hazards, even if you are not one of the combative nature.
That's true. Huh. Interesting.
Especially the planes which he takes most interest in, like the Shadowfell. So, takes basically directly across from this room. It opens
Yep.
another door. This room he uses for. Oh my.
What's the
Right,
matter?
what's wrong?
As you walk in, you see a large chamber built within this room using a cage of charged metal. And floating in the center of this room, there's a mass of inky black liquid, almost iridescent, the darkest black that probably anybody's ever seen. And it's writhing and swirling, and occasional gouts of black mist will come off of it before and kind of stretch to the edge of this chamber where it is all being contained by this metal and quickly back into the center of this piece. That's not supposed to look like that.
Yeah, I think something's wrong with your room.
Is this the Shadowfell Lori?
It's a way of measuring the interaction of the Shadowfell with the plane that we are currently on. There was a pool of this material that the Master has collected millennia ago that slowly, over time, because of the attunement of the metals around it, returns to that which it wishes to be at and falls sort of up into this gathering pool. Most of that material is supposed to be on the ground. The drops happen once every couple hundred years, and now it's all in one horrifying mass.
How often do you frequent these rooms? I'm going to guess not very unless you're instructed.
This room makes me uncomfortable, and I come into it as infrequently as I am able.
Do you know the last time, like months, years?
Probably a couple of years, but not long in the scale of the Master's work.
Great.
He will want to know of this.
I should be able to do a sending.
I'm sure there's a scroll in the other room.
That is true.
Yeah.
Work smarter, not harder. Or, wait, I could just think of the pen on me. I could just do that.
Oh yeah, there we go.
Ah,
Hey, something's going on with your Shadowfell room,
I'll
man.
just I'll describe what Eric said, where it's just like, hey, the pool of the Shadowfell is now orbiting in one ball that's now modulated in very uncomfortable ways. I would draw like a quick picture of like what's going on.
I was gonna say, draw me a little picture.
Rad.
So you get a
Figured that would be helpful.
You do get a response pretty quickly. It just says, in a very fine hand style, that would explain some of the things I'm seeing. Good to
Great.
know. I will take care of it in due course. Hopefully you are finding everything well.
Well, he knows. Great.
Shall we go to the Ori now? This room is not
Uh,
great to look at.
Yes, I imagine that will be of particular interest. Takes you guys out into the big room. So, hanging on the wall in front of the orrery, there's an arrangement of tuning forks tuned to every major plane that you could think of. The more The planes of more interest actually have a stack of a couple, and Eric's would show like you take a plane that you're interested in, go take the fork off the wall, you come over to the control panel for the orrery, and you can kind of insert it into this control panel, and it will adjust so that now you're seeing that plane on this complex contraption. And as you adjust the control panel, you can see its motion as the years have gone by. Think kind of like, for those of us who watched Avatar as a kid, the library where they did the star thing.
Yeah.
Picture
Yeah.
that, but the movement with the planes in like a 3D thing, and you can go as far back as you can desire and see how they were moving, and you can even go a little bit forward that it's predicting where they should be based on Baranon's studies. But as you go much farther forward than what you would imagine be a couple of years at most, the whole construction starts to kind of shake as it seems to be struggling to rectify what it's intending to show.
Oh.
You can also, though I perhaps not advise it, the master has devised a way to observe 2 planes at once. So you can slot a second, and he will show you, and does so, and a big lens comes down. It can be very disorienting when first trying it, but if you look through the lens, it splits your perception, and you can observe from the perspective of both planes. He has found this to be useful for predicting or countering those that crash together in time.
Right.
Give you a hell of a headache.
Yeah.
So our plane and other our plane is connected physically in a space, right? This plane and space, was that connected physically kind of to Tycon, right? Or did we have to use a spell for that?
That was more of a magical portal.
The physical connection to the astral sea, if my understanding is correct, is simply distance. If you get far enough from your plane,
Rocket.
you will end up
Is-
in space between.
I'm wondering, could there be more portals that connect other planes to this plane as well?
Well, certainly if there are able enough casters or entities that are able to will such things into existence.
But
And
not
there
like
are,
naturally
from what
occurring
you
one.
can, from what you can tell, there are also likely other places like the entrance in Tycon that could connect planes to other planes. And from what you can tell, it is due to the imbalance that was created by Urilash. And as you kind of move things around, you can kind of just start it over from the top, where you see everything was once in a very neat sort of concentric balance. And you can see certain moments are probably pinpointed, and you can tell when Urilash began to intrude. Because you can see first the Abyss and the Nine Hells collide with each other and form this kind of writhing, roiling plane that you all know as the Abyssal Hells, which was the only version of it that you'd ever heard of, where both demons and devils live. Before it was not so. And some of like the 9 layers of hell basically just got segmented out and thrown into the abyss in different ways. You can see a sort of outer mass outside the astral sea called the Far Realms kind of get gravitationally sucked into the layer on the outside, which is the astral sea, as other farther planes, like more chaotic ones, like the Feywild and Limbo and Pandemonium, also get pulled together and kind of clang into what you know as the realms beyond. And you can also see an imbalance kind of occurring, what Baranon suspects has to do with order and absolute order, as the Celestial Plane and Mechanus become embroiled in that as well. The Celestial Plane sort of separates itself from all of it and is not really interacting with anything. But Mechanus becomes completely dissolved, basically, as you imagine Urilash devours it. You can see over time the rest of these kind of smaller planes, like the 4 elemental planes, and others that aren't really particularly well labeled, but other planes of existence begin to come ever closer to colliding with each other and with the material plane at the center.
I was gonna try to see if I was gonna look at the 4 elemental planes and see if there's, depending on how the Ori looks or dictates things, is like if I were to look at the Earth and the air one, does it like pass over like where the 2 genies are, or where like maybe there would be a portal to them?
Make an investigation check.
Okay. Anyway, advantage because my goggles.
Okay.
You're unmuted.
Would guide as well.
You can see the 4 planes, the 4 elemental planes, are basically in some kind of like ovular 4-way Venn diagram, basically. Where they intersect, there are other like minor planes as well, of the 2 combinations and 3 combinations and the 4 combinations, and altogether they kind of make up what is known as Primordium. They seem to be completely segmented off at a certain point in time. What you imagine to be when the 4 Leviathans all made their way to the material plane, the 4 elemental planes seem completely shut off at the center, kind of below the material plane, as the celestial plane is kind of shut off above, and where the Shadowfell used to be kind of opposite it below, but it's now seeping into that outer ring, where now all the realms beyond are. It doesn't seem as though there's any means of connecting to either the celestial or the primordial planes right now.
Oh.
And indeed, you can see that time where the celestial plane is completely shut off from the rest seems to correspond to the ascension.
Oh, can I just turn back time on the clock to the day of the surge?
You can see the material plane just kind of almost undergoes like a mitosis. But it just kind of, they separate and then immediately collide back together. And as you kind of use that lens, you can see very clearly the 2 different sides. But also they're kind of overlaying on each other ever so slightly.
Interesting.
Eric's would, while everyone's playing with the Ori and figuring stuff out, he would assemble a little tool roll. If you guys have ever seen those like leather roll up, like you roll it out and there's slots for each one, and basically put one of every fork in there. The investor told me that you would be most interested in this.
Appreciate it.
Yes, please. Hey Matthew, out of character because I'm trying to remember and I just don't. You mentioned that like the 4 elemental planes was that what made up Primordium or Primordium?
Yeah.
Like, okay.
They're all kind of like subplanes to what is just kind of collectively referred to as Primordium. The
Gotcha.
primordial plane.
Okay.
What do you think? Man, what is his name? Fat
Who?
Dragonborn man.
Valiant.
Valiant. What do you think Valiant would want from this place? In trade.
Oh, just about anything. But I would not tell him about that deck of cards.
No, I'm
No.
not going to talk about the cards.
Perhaps we give him a crab.
But I want the crab.
All right then.
I mean, no, we could. I don't really see a use for it.
Considering his market per se, it'd have to be something unique that probably would catch his eye, or
Probably the
enough
crab.
things of high value.
Did we look at the spell focuses?
No, we have
Oh,
not.
no,
and
yeah,
there
Because
is-
But he
those
had
were
a-
just, those were prototypes, right? So like they're not.
Yeah.
Yes,
we
I
might-
can show you.
Might as well
The,
take a look, yeah.
takes you to back to the workshop, and there's like a separate like little section for that, and they are prototypes after a fashion, but this is part of the Master's contingency. Whenever should something bad happen, when he returns, the clone awakens. He has copies of his spell books, and his focus goes away, and one of these replace it and become the real one every time. So there are prototypes for the version that he uses now. There are also developmental versions and prototypes for things that he is intending to expand upon or improve. So perhaps one of these would be of interest, I suppose. I believe, you see it's a very well, documented process that Baranon has gone through over the years to develop this tool, and kind of fine-tune it to what he wants. And kind of off on one side, off of the main workspace, he shuffles around a little bit and pulls out a much smaller, simpler one. Something that would be more matching the art from Baranon from Ascension, that kind of Assassin's Creed Apple of Eden kind of thing. I believe this was one of the original prototypes that the Master was working on when he first designed the concept. It has some significant limitations, and I don't think will ever be useful to the level that he requires, but it is still an object of interest and potentially power in the right hands.
Yeah,
I'm sure we would love to take a look at it.
yeah, figure out what it does.
Do you think he'll mind if we use another identify scroll?
He probably has
I-
a solid pile of those.
I must say, if he could just do them whenever he feels like it.
I also don't know. It would need to be worked on. It would need to be attuned by probably a wizard, and they would need to tune it to their uses. If that makes
Oh
sense.
well.
It could be powerful. It can channel significantly more magical energy than the focuses that you would find about the world today, but I don't know if it's going to be a identifiable, magic doohickey that you might be hoping for, but in the hands of a skilled user, I could see use. Basically, Matthew, I didn't want to just accidentally shit a custom magic item into existence, but it's just like a good focus, I guess.
Yeah, it's probably has a lot of ways that it can. It's probably specifically to a wizard, but it has a lot of ways that you can sort of mess around with your spells, specifically your conjuration spells. Probably similar to like a meta magic type of thing.
Yeah.
A little volatile, but certainly of great historical and arcane value to those interested in such things.
So this is either, well, considering the main wizard we know
Yeah.
is Halvad.
Yeah, let's give that to Halvad, right?
Or it could potentially be something that Valiant would be interested in.
Yeah,
True. Let's
depending on what.
just give Valiant the crab. Give Halvad this. Just because I feel like Halvad could definitely make use of it.
I would imagine so.
As opposed to it just sitting in
Yeah.
Valiant stores for however long until someone buys it.
Yeah. Instead, someone can go buy a giant crab.
How that man operates or has a market that he can sell to consistently is beyond me, but I'm not about to question it.
I imagine it's probably not a feature of consistency, but a feature of how much he makes in his infrequent sales.
Yeah.
If I will put that in my
If you are
bag.
looking for an item of specific power, it would only be of use to those more arcane inclined. But the Master did have a very good working relationship with one who is now revered. Professor Karzire of the School of Evocation in the early days of the Academy.
Mm.
I believe we have his focus around here somewhere, if I can
Oh,
seek that out for you as well.
That would be very good.
yeah,
Just a moment, please.
of course.
Comes back with a very simple but fine crystalline staff. The whole thing seems to be made of one contiguous piece of crystal growth, but it's not uniquely carved or faceted or jeweled. It's just elegant in its simplicity, but also its complexity. There's small runes carved all around it that seem to be etched into it to channel the power. Yes, I believe this was made by Professor Karzar with the assistance of Master Baranon, as the focus was originally his idea, and their cooperation was required in the development at all.
Is it similar to berries, or does it do its own special thing?
I can't say that I know the difference. I'm not magically inclined such as that myself, and the Master tends to prefer his own that he created.
Are we welcome to take it?
I would think so. I've been given instructions to give you anything that you asked for other than access to this specific space. Otherwise, I don't think there's anything you aren't allowed to see or take
Well-
should you deem fit.
We'll take it. All right.
So, Matthew, that's Karzire's relic.
Mm-hmm.
Requires attunement to wizard. Shit.
How about I can have both?
Whichever one he doesn't want, we can give to.
He can become the most powerful wizard of all time. Of
Oh.
our time.
Holding up 2 legendary weapons. This is great.
Yeah. Shall we try to drive this crab out of here? Is that all the rooms, Erix?
Yes, some more mundane storage and things for materials that are used in the crafting and the drafting and the potionry and such, but unless you have interest in mundane materials or any other items that you have not inquired about, I can seek for you, but otherwise I think that's the majority. There is the alternative way out, though I would probably not recommend it.
What?
Dare I ask?
The master made. Over the years, he has developed some of his own versions and twists on certain known magics. One of them being a spell called Gate that allows you to open a portal of sorts from one place to another, whether it be a being or a location that you're familiar with. The master developed a sort of permanent version that he's able to create a standing portal that goes between 2 points of his choosing. The one in the lab is uniquer still. It is a portal that goes to a specific place on each plane that he has traveled to, and it is attuned to the forks. So whichever fork you use to set the portal, it can take you to that place, or at least it used to. But recently, with all of the problems and the conflagrations of the planes, the alignment has gone askew, so it's now difficult to say with certainty where you will arrive.
I don't think we should use that exit.
I imagine
Yeah.
it would probably not be your
No.
first choice. But it is available to you should you so choose.
We appreciate it. Is there
It would be
instructions?
very helpful if it could
for-
be repaired. Do we
Yeah.
Has Baranon looked into that? As I assume he's too busy. You would have to talk to the master, I would think, but if there's a way to repair it, he would be the one that would know. But perhaps an understanding of the shifting in the planes and a realignment could sort
Well,
it
maybe-
back out.
Maybe now that he's got all of the indie stuff downloaded into his brain, maybe he has a little bit more of a handle on that.
Well, that's true.
It's
Of
difficult
course,
that
I
he's
can't
going to
imagine
have
it's
to.
really easy to parse through all that.
It's also very difficult that he's going to have to kind of separate himself from things for a while, because now would be a great time to ask some questions.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna go hop in this crab.
Okay. I'm gonna look over some spell scrolls and note some down.
Can I figure out how to drive it?
Make an intelligence check.
Okay.
I feel like Baranon would have drafted a user's manual.
Probably, but I want to see if Rook can do it on his own first.
Yeah. I don't look at
You
instructions.
just pull all the levers. It's like
Let me pull them a little slower this time.
spend a little bit of time figuring it out. It's not actually that difficult.
Yeah. I will start piloting it out.
It's pretty fun, right?
Yeah. And once we're outside, I will try to put it in the hole if
You
it can fit
It
in the
will.
portal
It will
hole.
basically take up the entire hole, but it will fit.
Okay.
That actually seems like a very good use of that right out of the gate.
Yep.
Yeah, having the hole, I think, will be very helpful for us. The bag that Millicent had has been very useful, but I think this will be a bit more utilitarian.
Yeah.
Especially with as many objects we've encountered that's like, hey, this would be great to have, but we can't store it anywhere. Well, aside from the things you guys have, but that's only once a week or something like that.
Yeah, it's very slow. Erix, I had a thought. The Baranon has many simpler items in there. Does he have a pair of sending stones?
Oh, that'd be
Oh, he
nice.
certainly would.
Can we take one and you keep the other, so that if we need access back to the lab or things or something like that? Sure, there are several sets of stones. I could certainly give you one and keep track of the other.
Is there an easier way to get here aside from just teleporting to the office?
There is
Matthew,
not.
could Barry have made a fork for his lab because it's technically a plane?
Yeah, he probably would.
Nice.
There is one thing
I
that
don't know
can
if
be
that'd
done.
be easier, but
The it is not kept with the others, but and he would present that. It's
do
an
we
option.
do we think it's a good idea to run around with access to his lab for an extended period of time?
Yeah, what happens if we get our asses kicked and somebody collects all of these forks and goes, what's this one I've never seen before?
all
Is
right,
it
maybe we leave that here.
noticeably? Is it noticeably distinct from the other ones?
Maybe I leave that with Aelith.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do that. I see where you're coming from, but you have a point on that. Yeah.
Well, if there's nothing else that you would wish to see or inquire after or have me procure for you, I can show you the way out, and I will require the entrance ring back. It's part of my agreement with the master. He has a few different
Makes
ways
it-
that he can allow people in, and that one is sort of a one-time ticket.
That's fair.
Feels like
I
a
guess
bad
we-
idea to also be running around with that thing.
Yeah. I know, of course, all the things around here are based on, his work, so a lot of wizardry. Did he have anything, like, from his previous traveling companions? Because I know one of them was a cleric, at least.
Rook has that.
If
I
you
know.
mean the artifacts of those individuals that are now revered, not exactly, but in the study he does have his notes on the individuals and their journeys and their times together.
Oh.
He is a fastidious note taker.
I like history, but would that be too invasive because they are his friends, and I don't want to read his, basically journal on that.
If it was something he did not wish you to have access to, it would have been in a different space. There
Okay.
are things and there are notes of his that he keeps private, but they are in a place that he keeps private.
Oh, okay. In that case, then, yeah,
Well,
I
take
would
his diary.
take. Not
Basically,
diary.
he would just have everything we played through in Ascension written down. That whole story.
With probably certain parts of it left out.
Yeah.
A few caveats, but yeah. Where they went, the basics of the people that they met, a lot of all that stuff.
He keeps in the whole brothel scene.
Except for one part.
Except for one tiny part.
Well,
But yeah.
Okay.
That way we can in character know the things that we out of character have been playing with for a while. But
Wow.
yeah, he
Might be a
he
year.
would have all of those.
Hey, yeah, I figured there wouldn't be any artifacts because we know where those generally are.
He just has these like 12 4-hour YouTube videos that you can watch.
wow.
It's actually a notebook per session, and when you open it up, the first thing is like an image, and you're like, wow, that's weird.
All the images are basically the same. There's just like a different number on each one.
Takes a short rest each book.
It's like Netflix, wow.
It's crazy. Much better than the play you saw.
Well, there's no orgy in here.
The scar's not on the wrong side.
Yeah, where is that in these books? I don't see it.
Rook just immediately beelines for the orgy scene.
They lied to me. The theater lied to me.
Immediately gives up his 4 levels in Bard.
Oh, what's the point?
Print
All right,
is
yeah,
dead.
I would take that. That were historical. Yeah.
And in his study, there would have been other stuff from the times that he has seen that are now since passed, and so I imagine if you, I don't think we need to go into detail for it, but for you being the history nut, you could probably find plenty in there that Baranon has witnessed and taken note of throughout the years.
Lots and lots.
All right.
You notice a consistent theme that he is not impartial in his note-taking and his observation. He thinks certain people are right and he thinks certain people are wrong, but he specifically does not intervene. He does not want to be seen as this, this entity, this godlike figure, anything like that. He's not influencing the development and the path of the world. His job is to allow it to exist and for people to make their choices, but that doesn't mean that he has to agree with those choices.
Yeah, and I would say, adding on to that, just a couple of other things. First, in a post-ascension world, in a world where a prerequisite to becoming a saint of the powers that be is that you, in fact, die, he finds himself in a very unique situation as being effectively the only god that this world has currently. He's the only one he's the only saint that's actually alive and able to go and do things. And he's the only, with the entire original Pantheon being locked up in the lattice, he has a lot of responsibility, the way that he sees it, and he does not want to just turn this world into whatever he wants it to be using that power. There is, in the later notes, probably some guilt expressed about not making a larger footprint in those early centuries because things have gone rather bad. But
you would find some very colorful notes about Rolf, one of his star students who basically did a genocide.
Yeah, that was going to be the second thing. He also found it a lot more difficult in recent years to actually interact with anybody at all, given what Leroth did. And he's like, oh, now there's no more drow, and nobody even remembers that we exist, and people don't even really know who I am anymore. Thanks.
And he feels a little bit guilty because the magic that Rolf used, Barry helped him discover. So that's part of what he carries with him and why he doesn't intervene, because he realizes that if he does it wrong, the consequences can be immense.
Oh, history really does repeat itself with the whole Barry and Rolf situation and us with fucking Mira.
Yep.
Whoopsie. Love that.
Which is part of the
Yeah.
reason why he helped you.
Wow.
He also does know Juliet very well. Of the 4 genies, he knows Otho pretty well. You realize that he met Otho before he met any of the other ones on his expedition down to what you now refer to as Panacea. But Juliet, he also provided her with a lot of stories and information which she used for her murals as she's sort of documenting all of the pre-ascension heroics.
Which is why she had a particular focus on his traveling companions in her murals.
And also, just from what you can tell through reading all of these, he doesn't really seem to think very much of many of the old Pantheon, but he does seem to have a soft spot for Torm.
Praise be.
Praise be.
Praise be.
This is
Is
written
that
next
somewhere
to-
in the
It
historical
says that
notes?
in parentheses on the annotation.
It has the little like note 1, and at the end of every book.
Oh, yeah.
Inshallah.
Oh.
Oh,
So let's just
praise be,
like flip
yeah.
through, like, oh, what's this? And it's like, praise be. And it's like,
What?
oh. And then goes back, and then there's another one. She's like, goes to the page. It's like, praise be. Barry.
Every reference of Torm in his notes
Yeah.
has a little superscript 1 on it.
Yeah, that's like the. It's like PB. What is that? PBUH at the end of each thing. Praise be unto him.
Yeah.
So those were all of the details I had in mind for Barry's lab. Matthew, if you had anything else
I
you
think that
wanted
about
to add or
covers all of
find.
my stuff.
Well then, everyone, let's get on out of here. Successful exploration of the lab.
I'm keeping this chair.
All right.
I like it. It's got wheels on the bottom.
If that's okay.
Do you want us? I know you said to note it for us to note down what spell scrolls we took, but do we want to relay it back to you, or?
Yeah, I figure we can go on break right now, and you guys can write down the spell scrolls that you want to have taken.
Everything that we pilfered.
And you can just put it in the Discord, and then
Oh,
I will
okay.
know.
Okay.
So let's do that now. Thank you, Russ. You can take an inspiration for all of your efforts there. Very nice timing with me being sick to have the first half of the session not really having to talk. Love it. But yeah, we'll be back in a bit. Welcome back. Guys, step back into Professor Gerhardt's office. See, she's playing chess with Casa Jumbo.
Hello, we're back.
Oh, I trust you found everything you were looking for in there?
Yes.
Whatever
Not
that
too much.
was?
How are things out here with our mutual friend?
Doing alright, I'm winning. That's not necessarily true. No, I'm not 2 moves away. Well, we'll never know now. The game is over because they are back, so.
Yeah. Now, Professor, I would just like to ask real quick. I know that there's a situation with Grabblepibs and Cran,
Yeah, you could say that.
perhaps. How serious would you say the situation is between them?
How serious?
Serious.
Sorry.
Whoopsie.
Yeah.
Just turned into Tweety
How
Bird.
serious?
It's one of those days, man.
Yeah.
It
Ooh.
has become more serious.
Ah.
I believe, well, nobody has been able to really prove it, but there was already an assassination attempt. But he still
On
has a few.
Grabblepibs.
Yes, but he still has a number of loyal professors in his corner. In fact, you all would probably be interested in knowing this, but the school in general has become a hive for BI in recent months. They seem to be doing some kind of experimentational research on the conflux point beneath us, far below. They are doing their best to get a hold on the students as well. There are there's just BI presence everywhere, especially in the central building, in the courtyards. There are a number of professors who I definitely think are working with them. The Professor Michaels, the divination professor, as well as Professor Karloff, the transmutation professor. There are also a number of professors who are working against BI, or attempting to, trying to defend the headmaster, and a few of us who are just trying to stay out of it as well. But it also seems like they're trying to expand their influence in the school by opening other classes, not just for wizards, but for like artificers,
Ah.
and get more. I think they're probably trying to get more BI presence in the school by doing this. I don't know much about it, but if you all would like to look around a little bit, I could disguise you in a way
Yes,
that
please.
they might not detect.
That'd be great.
We have
Like
a protocol.
students.
We have a protocol here that if there are any potential students who want to sit in on some classes and spend some time around with some of the professors, they could have a professor sponsor them. I could write you a note that you could show to anyone who questions you, if you would like that.
Yes, please.
I will do this. There are obviously lots of very gifted casters here, but I should be able to provide you with a disguise that only the most perspicacious of individuals would be able to see through. She'll just cast kind of like a modified seeming on a lot of you. You will need to return by the end of the day for me to re-up it, but you all can just look like an assortment of differently sized, Zeltish young students.
And what is Cran's position here in the school?
Well, he doesn't have a position in the school. He is the mayor of the city of Zindan, which is where the school resides. He does not have any formal position of leadership over the school, and that is how it has always been since the school was founded. In recent years, however, he has been attempting to undermine the sovereignty of the school leadership and exert his control over it.
Does Emma Blackmire have any influence over it either?
But she has influence over him.
Alright.
Simple enough.
Well, what about these good teachers, huh? Who are some trusted ones that perhaps we could talk to?
Well, trust is something that you will have to determine on your own, but there are a few professors that you could seek out. There is Professor Bolfin,
All.
August Bolfin.
Hmm.
He teaches enchantment. He is a halfling man. He is a little... well, everybody who works here is eccentric in one way or another, you must know, but...
Sure.
He teaches what again?
Enchantment.
Mm.
And there is also Ramanos Bartag. He is a strange one. He's recent, but he is a professor of aberrancy.
Oh. Yes, we've heard that name before.
He is strange. He usually is just wandering around with his TA and doing weird experiments. One that, well, obviously there's 374.
Mm-hmm.
He is the professor of Dunamancy.
Mm-hmm.
He generally tries to keep to himself. Obviously, I do not think he is a big proponent of BI, but...
No, I don't imagine so.
Otherwise, I know there are a few other professors who would rather not be under the thumb of BI, but there are also other professors I don't know of who I'm sure are friends with them. You might want to just try and do a bit of digging on your own.
Alright. Well, you
Here's
two, I
the
would love
note.
to take a look around. Thank you.
Yeah, if it's all signed to you, mate, I think we'll probably stay here with the
Yes, I think you two should. Yes, yes, yes.
That's fine.
I might be wanting to go home pretty soon here.
Oh, right.
Do you guys think you'll stay here for a little bit?
For at least
Did we?
a few days, maybe? I don't know.
Baranon got us here, right? So you're still full of teleporting juice?
I think Baranon got you to Fairburg area.
That's right.
Casa Jumbo brought you here.
Yes.
Yeah.
I still have a bit, but
If he needs to go somewhere, I can top him up.
No, it was more just if he had access to that, it would behoove us to keep him around until we need to make a hasty escape. But if he's already kind of tired, then sure.
And we
I guess.
got
I
we got
just-
the spell scrolls now.
I want to make
Yeah.
sure I can get back to the realms before he closes them down.
That's true.
Yeah.
You should go do that.
Go home.
Okay. It was good seeing you guys again.
Oh yeah, thank you
Of
for all
course.
your assistance.
Okay. I'll go back to Barry.
Hey, here's the first level as a treat.
Thanks.
Just kind of goes over to the corner and just hugs himself, and then just kind of like folds in on himself and disappears.
Is that necessary, or did you just want to hear him make that noise again?
I just thought it'd
Little
be
column A,
nice.
little column B.
Mm.
He is very strange.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Very powerful and surprisingly helpful, though.
Yeah, that's the problem. He seems easy to be unlikable, but his attitude feels like you should endeavor to be nice to him, but he's just so weird to be around.
All right, well, you two. She just looks at 96 and Porridge. I will need you to pretend to be not yourselves. If anybody else comes in here, I do have office hours. Just go into one of the side study rooms and try not to make too much noise. Yeah, all right. I'll keep working on the items we've been talking about.
Please.
And I'll keep an eye on my stool.
Close eye on it. All right.
Right, well, it's getting close to about lunch, so if you want
Everyone
to
should be out and about.
look at the premises, yeah. Just be on your guard, and if anybody stops you, show them the note. Pick
Right.
some names for yourselves, probably. I
Lucas?
left them open on there so you could fill them out with whatever.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, sure.
You guys can
Great. Got it.
head out. You are in the Conjuration Tower. The school is built like onto and in this large mountain, basically, a couple of mountain peaks off to the west of the city of Zindan. The main like administration and like courtyard area are on this kind of flattened peak of the mountain. And then there are 13 towers that just come out the sides of the mountain, sort of in a rough spiral down. And all of the spires have like little adjoining buildings and bridges between them and other things kind of tacked onto the sides. One for each school that house the classrooms. The library is unique to that practice, as well as the offices of the professors who work there. Each of the head professors has an office at the top of that tower, so you guys are now exiting sort of the top of the Conjuration Tower through a large kind of winding spiral stair. You can see the Conjuration building itself is very ornate, which is not especially surprising considering the nature of Conjuration. You guys kind of pass by some windows and you just see this very impressive array of buildings all around as you make your way down the stairs and pass by a couple of rushing young people. Most of the students here are what you would expect, like late teens. There are also others that seem to just be adults and from various walks of life. Most of them wearing the same uniform that you guys can see that you guys are wearing, which is very straightforward, kind of a dark navy with like silver accents, very Zeltish. Most of the people studying here seem to be humans, but there are members of most of the other races as well, just not quite as many. As you pass down to the bottom floor of the Conjuration Tower and kind of across the bridge to the central courtyard area, there seems to be a huge amount of people out here. Students, seeming professors and teachers and other employees of the academy. You can all feel the deep thrumming of the conflux point beneath your feet. And you can see there's a number of buildings up here on this flattened peak of the mountain that's probably like a half mile in a rough circle. And all the various buildings seem to also extend up and down into the mountain itself. But yeah, you just see lots and lots of different people. Lots of BI uniforms as well, mostly wandering around, apparently chatting with other people, or there's a good amount of Warforged as well.
Awakened Warforged, or just...
None that you can see, or at least that are immediately obvious.
Well, we'd like to head towards the, try to get a look at the conflux point and see what's happening down there, or do we think students are allowed?
That's a good question. Maybe go to one of the professors that.
What's when we are inevitably somewhere we are not to be, what's our story? Are we new transfers? Are we
Yeah,
I mean, we're new students. Like,
new students.
it's kind of the summation of people going where they're not supposed to go.
Yeah. I can talk my way around stuff.
alright? I'm curious about the conflux points more so than the random people.
Celeste, what's your name?
Sophia. Dune God? I don't know. Let me write that down before I forget.
Cinder?
Right, last names are a thing.
You can just
Uh-huh.
have the same one as me if you want.
Sure,
Okay. What's the first name?
Ignatius. It was one of
Oh.
the names you all thought about naming me back in the day.
I want to be Roger.
I thought about taking that, but it seemed inappropriate now that there's an actual person named Roger.
I like it.
Fair enough.
Let's see.
What's our last name?
What do you think? Just going off of Google here. Hoffman, Schmidt,
Schmidt's good. Schmidt's strong.
Schmidt.
Roger
I like
Schmidt.
Schmidt. Roger Schmidt. We're triplets.
Yeah.
Great.
And I'm along for this terrible
Lucas,
ride.
Roger, and Ignatius Schmidt.
I'm Lucas Schmidt.
Imagine your orientation group being the triplets. And it's just like them and you. At a time.
What's your last name, Sophia?
Oh, Dune God.
Oh, that's right.
Wow.
Love it.
Perfect.
We have a plan.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Let's just wander
mean-
around towards the
Yeah,
general
as you guys are
direction
just
of-
kind of like milling about here, as there's lots of students running to and fro, lots of like familiars flying around as well, carrying various things, carrying bags. There's like
yeah.
over on one side there is like a couple of kids like playing keep away with like some guy's crystal ball, and then this like flying monkey just comes out and grabs it and flies away, and he's like chases after it. You guys are approached seemingly out of nowhere by this old lady gnome who's like maybe 2.5 feet off the ground. She's got very kind of ruddy skin, wavy white hair, just kind of wearing a very simple frock, and she's just kind of leaning on a staff. Are you all new students here for the orientation?
Yes. Well, quite new.
Oh. I am Professor Lantoscott, Nifix Lantoscott. Most of the people just call me Gran. It's a little easier to...
Grand, go. What are you professor of?
I am an illusionist.
Oh.
I'm the head professor of the School of Illusion here, so if you ever find yourselves in need of any of that, I don't know if you've done your placements yet, or if you know where you might be finding yourselves. Are any of you, have any of you shown promise in any particular region, or have you yet to ascertain?
Ignatius is more towards the artificer stuff that is getting a little startup.
Oh, you might be wanting to speak with Professor Brown, then. Well, she is rather new. She's a little odd, if you ask me, but who isn't?
I'm a little more on... I haven't decided between illusions and enchantment.
Ah, Professor Balfin, he's a fun one. They always have lots of good times and laughs in that school over there. And I'm not sure how much learning gets done, but,
Although Dunamancy did interest me a bit.
Oh, yes, time. Very interesting.
Yeah, I was initially learning divination, but dunamancy seemed to interest me as far as going here.
Well, the professors there tend to be a little bit more, how we say, reclusive. But if you would like, she just kind of points towards one tower that seems to be completely upside down.
Ah,
Oh,
That it would be the place for you to find Dunamancy. It is a little disorienting at first when you walk in because everything's sort of gravity, you know. But they do have some of the finest study rooms in there. If you work your way up the ranks, you can access study rooms 14 and 13, which have a time dilation on them. So for every hour you spend in there, it's only a minute outside. You can get lots of studying done.
wow.
And students sometimes use it for other extracurricular activities too, if you know what I'm saying. But of course, that is frowned upon,
Right.
as long as anybody sees it.
Sorry, Roger. Roger was interested in Professor Bartag's area of expertise.
Ah, you all come from very interesting backgrounds, I see. Well, if you see that building next to the Dunamancy one that's just sort of seeping liquid every so often, that's where you'd find Dr. Bartag. He is, it's like one of the smallest towers. It's just like 2 stories tall. He's in there with his TA pretty much all the time, and they don't have a lot of takers, so if you're looking for a lot of fast, on-the-job training, that would be the place to start.
Wow, there you go, Roger.
Yeah,
Who's
sounds good.
Who's
Yeah,
his assistant?
that sounds very good to me. I am very much wanting to doing the
All right,
Abendrot.
Roger.
Oh,
Who's his assistant?
some fella named Tom.
Okay.
Ah.
Young upstart, very smart. Very smart.
Yes. Yeah.
Interesting. Just
But-
haven't heard the mention of assistants and aides with the other professors, just their
Most
names.
of them have professors working underneath them as well. So the head professor, like I have 3 associate professors. But the aberrancy school is a little too new and not enough students to really warrant that. So it's basically just him and his TA and a handful of, well, other students who perhaps have a bit in common with you or Roger here. But if you need anything, I'm always up there in the illusion tower, which you can see just like parts of it are like invisible or seem to be made out of different materials. That's actually where I am right now.
Is this
Oh.
not your physical form?
Oh no, of course not. She just like reaches through Rook.
Ah.
Illusions.
Well, we appreciate you coming down to help us.
Yeah, of course. I see a lot from my tower, you know.
I guess so. Yes.
Anyway, if you were interested in looking for the new artificer things, I believe Professor Brown has set up a small office of sorts in the administration building. You'd go down there and then you'd go down a floor and you could find it there. Just look where there's lots of uniformed, strapping lads. I find myself wandering down there from time to time.
Of course. God. Well,
You know,
is
lunch
this
break,
some sort
stretch
of
the
like,
legs.
is this some sort of like orientation that we should?
Well, we usually do those towards the beginning of a semester, and we're sort of smack dab right in the middle of one right now. But if you...
Kind of late transfers.
Yes, basically the way that this will go is... who is your sponsor, Professor?
Oh. Oh, well, I guess we can't open this and I'll just open the letter and like...
Oh, Professor Gerhardt.
Can you
yes.
see this? Okay.
She a family friend, or...
Yes, yes.
Right. Basically, once you all decide the schools that you are interested in pursuing, or if you would simply like to delay your registration into one of the main schools until the beginning of a new semester, and just do some sort of general education things until then, once you have finalized your decisions on those fronts, you can report back to Professor Gerhardt, and she will set up the appropriate orientations within your chosen schools.
Are we allowed to just sit in on the various classes to see
Yes,
which one
any 1 or 200 level course you are welcome to visit. Any of the upper, obviously, division courses would not be available to you at this time, but
Of course.
I imagine they would be lost on us anyway.
most likely, probably especially on your friend Roger here. But the rest of you, maybe. I'm just kidding. I'm just ribbing you. But yes, usually we have a free hour right now. Most of the professors will have office hours at this time. If you wish to meet with any of them, you can see if they have a wait and go and introduce yourself. They like a go-getter.
All right. Well, thank you very much. We'll. Yeah, we might as well make use of this time then.
Yes, I recommend it. A
Right.
large part of it is showing up. And you see her, she just like turns into like a cloud of butterflies and flies away.
Okay.
Sure.
I like Grant.
I don't think I should use the Zeltish accent.
No, I don't think you
No.
should.
I think if anything, we should try to sound like Rook.
You don't have to try to sound like anything if you don't want. No,
Yes,
don't do it.
Let me play you a song.
No, no, no.
Yes. Oh, this is called Ode to Celeste, Volume 17.
Ah. How'd you know about those stars?
How am I doing?
You're doing great. Stop it.
you spoiled the 16 albums I haven't released.
Yeah.
They weren't ready.
Yeah.
Work in progress.
I feel like, well, I'm very interested in the Dunamancy and the Aberrancy one. But I feel like going towards the BI stuff, we should probably sit in or go to the office hours of Professor Brown.
Yeah, if we're doing this on specifically productivity, then yes, we should be going after those professors that she mentioned to us. But if we have personal interest, I am kind of curious to take Aelith to the divination school and see if she knows anything of
Could be
that
interesting.
realm or those people.
What's in the divination of the professor also? It's one from BI.
I didn't remember. Was that Karloff? You said his name and I didn't catch.
No, that was
Franz-
Professor Michaels'
Franz
divination.
Michaels. What was Karloff? I didn't catch his
Gordon
Transmutation.
transmutation. Well, then I volunteered to go to Michael's and see. I mean, I don't. Are we just observing? Are we talking to these motherfuckers? What's the?
I do kind of think if we're going to talk to people, we should have Lucas with us.
Be together, and he should be the one
Oh.
doing all of the
But,
speaking.
but perhaps we can split up during class time and observe first.
Also, speaking as someone who was in academia for a long time, having an awkward student who keeps stumbling over the words would not be abnormal. In fact, it'd
That's
be more weird
true.
if someone was completely glib in a place where there's a bunch of nerds walking around.
That's
Yeah,
a good
I'd
idea.
be the
Although,
weird one.
if we are going to do that, we should probably settle on like a backstory.
Yeah. We're family friends of Gerhard.
So where are we
Apparently.
from? Why are we here?
Where is
The
Frisker?
study. We
Who's on-
showed a lot of promise. I mean, you guys are actually magically inclined quite well, so you can.
Well, a lot of promise or family has a lot of money, which is also very believable.
That's
Both.
true. Could be that.
You say you have a lot of promise first, and then you say also the family has a lot of money.
Also, I could afford to be here.
Yeah.
Oh, my dad sponsors. Don't worry about it.
And we come from
Braddock.
Braddock. Yeah, we
Braddock's
come
good.
from Braddock. Braddock's a good place. A
Wait,
solid.
isn't Tom from there?
Yeah.
Okay.
At least on the other side. Is that where he's from, or just where he lived on that side?
I don't know.
I'm
I just
surprised he's even here, to be honest.
Yeah.
arbitrarily picked it because it seemed like a place that we were all at least adjacently familiar with.
Yeah.
I mean, also, you three are set yourself up as siblings. I can.
Yeah, you can have your own backstory.
Yeah, you can have your own, I guess.
I mean, still family friend, probably from a properly rich family. Like, I Just don't need to have it be
maybe
the
you
same
should
town.
just be from Godtold.
I was going to make it from Godsold because my
Yeah,
accent
there
does
we
not
go.
match Sultanbrock.
Yeah, hey, from Godsold.
It is very easy to do Zeltish accent. You just have to pronounce every letter. I think I nailed it.
Yeah, it
I think
sounded
I'm
great.
nailing it.
Brooke, how's it doing?
Oh, fantastic.
Excellent.
Guten Tag.
No.
Oh, okay.
Just
Well,
stop speaking Zeltish.
That's fair, yeah. I think I'll stick with
I think you should
Ignatius.
stick with that. Yeah. All right. So
Do we
you're
want to
gonna
go do
go
something all
towards-
together first, or do we want to just split off right now?
Do we want to all go towards bronze office hours, or do we go towards, I don't know, the Dunamancy guy, or one of the teachers that were supposedly on our side?
Maybe we figure out the allies' situation before we figure out the enemy's situation. So if we need help from someone other than Gerhard, we have a way to do so.
I like that idea.
Office hours with Professor Bolfin?
Sure.
Oh wait, do we think we could meet with Grabblepibs? Probably not. He's the headmaster.
Probably not directly.
Yeah, that's
It'd
probably
be
not.
very odd for a bunch of newbies to show up and just be like, "Hello, let's go talk to this one person."
Maybe
Or
with the
I-
help of one of the professors, but
Well,
I
actually,
imagine
maybe 374. I really want to talk to him, and I feel like he would be against the PI stuff.
yeah, that's actually a great point. I'm very
And all
curious.
of us mentioned being interested in that anyhow. If the illusion professor asked about it, it's like
Dunamancy just sounds cool.
it does.
I did mention that maybe you would be interested in the artificer stuff, just because I don't know. One, Zarx is doing his Omnitrix stuff now.
I am interested in it, though my knowledge, I'm not sure how convincing I will be if I am questioned on it. I think if
Oh.
you want me to have,
I could come
Believe-
with you.
probably.
Okay.
My most believable attempt at magical expertise would probably be either evocation, because I know a lot of those spells, though I use them differently than the wizards here, or perhaps divination, and I can cheat a little bit with Ayla's help, but that's probably all I could be convincing on.
All right.
I don't know about everybody else.
A quick
I'll be
visit to 374, and then do you want to just split up and see classes, or go do each class together?
Let's see how we do after talking to 374.
All right,
Yeah.
let's do it. Dunamancy.
If there's something that we don't understand, we can.
Oh wait, well we'll go to Dunamancy Tower, and then we'll still have time for office hours, right? Because time.
Well, it
True.
depends on. It's only in It's only in some of the study
Oh.
rooms.
The
Oh,
special
okay,
room.
just the study rooms. Got it. Okay.
He would have to let us into one of those rooms.
Well, let's go have a chat.
You guys can head over, across the courtyard, hustling and bustling as it is, to the Dunamancy Tower, which is not particularly well acquainted. You can see it's just kind of got like a very simple rope bridge leading across to like the top of an upside down tower. You kind of cross the threshold and immediately just find yourselves falling upward and landing on this like ramped pillow that just kind of rolls you off as you land, and you're kind of disoriented and you realize that gravity just kind of shifted the other direction. But it seems to be well prepared for such things as you just kind of like stand up and adjust yourselves, and you're now in the top of a tower. You can see there's kind of like a very narrow curved hallway that you take to a staircase, and then there is just this at the top of the staircase there is a wooden door with a knocker, and you can see there is a sign on it that says Professor 374.
Give it a knock.
One moment. You see the door just opens, and you see like this strange-looking warforged sitting behind a desk, just kind of with this like extendo arm pull the door open. He's just sitting amid a giant pile, like a forest of just sheaves of parchment. And you can see there are things floating in the air around. There's a few pocket watches just ticking in different orders on a table. And you see seems to be made out of welded bronze plates. And he has these 2 blue crystals for eyes that almost just seem like screwed onto his face. And he has a 3rd arm coming out of the center of his chest that's just being used to write down some formulae and things as he looks up at you all. And it continues to write. Doesn't ceaselessly.
New students?
Yes.
Come in.
Oh, thank you.
I am rather busy, but I have a few moments to spare if you have something you wish to discuss.
We are just arrived. A little late into the semester, I know, but I guess we were just hoping to see what your
Yes.
classes are about. I don't know.
Lunamancy. Are you familiar with the practice?
Only a little bit.
And there's only a little bit to know. If you have any experience with other magics, it has parts of conjuration, parts of abjuration. Rather than harnessing the power of the weave to push it through what we perceive ourselves, we use the weave itself to manipulate the weave and tie it back and fold it and create knots out of it and untie other knots out of it and shift the very fabric of reality around us, bending the 4th and 5th dimensions.
That was a lot of words that
You can
only
do
about
stuff
process.
with time and gravity.
Oh, that sounds cool.
Mhm.
It is.
Yeah.
It is not for the faint of heart.
Oh.
sounds like it would be very complicated just based on your description and the interplay between these things.
Extremely.
Is it? I suppose it's hard to quantify what is easier or harder, but is it harder than some of the other schools to learn?
It is harder because there is not as much knowledge. There are not as many practitioners. This is an art that is more akin to the sorcerer's pursuits or even pacts from above and beyond. It is innate, but it is learned. It is natural, but it is also divine. It combines the very essence of reality with how we perceive it. I am rambling again, but suffice it to say, if you decide to learn Dunamancy, you will find it uniquely challenging, but perhaps not in the ways you would expect. This is not a game of memorizing and copying, as it is with so many other pursuits, valued and noble though they are. Dunamancy seeks to exert its will on you, and you must exert right back with more. It can eat you and devour you until there is nothing left. But if you master it, the possibilities are limitless.
Wow.
Looking at me, I'm sure you can tell I am one who values my freedom. My ability to do what I want, to pursue that which I see as valuable. Lunamancy offers me this freedom in a way no other pursuit has.
Professor, perhaps a more delicate question. Our family was perhaps a little slightly concerned about a certain presence that is being exerted in Zindan these days.
Make a persuasion check.
Okay. $25.
Close the door.
I'll press the digitator closed.
Mhm. His third hand just keeps writing some things down.
Yes, there is a presence, as you say, here.
As he says that, you can just see he just kind of like a little bit of like steam just kind of belches out of the left side of his head.
Well, perhaps not so uh, keen on. We're advised to maybe not learn from specific professors that might be one-side-minded.
Interesting. Where did you say you were from?
Braddock.
Ah, I suppose that makes a bit of sense then. A little more open-minded down there, perhaps.
Yeah.
Who was your sponsor professor?
Professor Gerhardt.
Hmm. Strong woman. Work-oriented.
Open-minded.
Perhaps. Not as open-minded as some, but less closed than others. Firmly in the middle. But this is okay.
This is a university, so
It once purported to be, anyway. These days it seems more like a company town.
run by Kran.
He wishes. Run by his wife, more like.
Blackmire. Yeah.
He's too busy cheating on her. Look at me talking out of turn, telling tales
Oh.
out of school.
Wow.
I would avoid them if I were you, if I had any modicum of sense in whatever this is.
Do they come into the university often?
Yes. They have designs against our good headmaster, as I'm sure you have heard.
Yes.
You seem to know more than the average new student, Mr.
Lucas Schmidt.
Lucas Schmidt. Ah, your family were bakers back in Braddock, yes?
Yeah.
Can I insight this guy?
Yeah.
He is a quixotic fellow, to be sure. Now, he is difficult to get a read on, given that he doesn't really have much of a face. He is a woken warforged, so that, generally speaking, tells you more than you would think you would need to know. But
Yep.
he's letting out some info here to see how you react to it. Just kind of looks at Rook. He's like,
There are no
Many of
Baker
our-
Schmidts.
All right. Well, no, but yes, you got me.
I feel just great about it. What is it you are actually doing here, Lucas?
Like to help grapple tips.
Then you have come to the right man.
I
One of
thought we
them.
might.
One of them, anyway.
Heard
My
that perhaps
powers
you
here
and
are-
Bolfin are both.
Yes. As well as Bartag, and loath though I am to say, Professor Baines. The
Professor
necromancer.
Baines. Oh,
He is. Yes, he is Professor Baines. He comes from God's hold. He wishes for the old days. High Priestess Molnaya was. He was a fan.
Would I have heard of this person?
Make a history check. Donovar Baines, a half-elf, somebody who was something of a admirer of yours from your early days as the head of the church. He was a follower of Kalimvor. He had some very peculiar methods, but he was very much he always wanted to be around you, and he wanted to be spending time with you. He just seemed like a real big fan, a big personal fan of yours.
Uh huh.
And when you when there was a space for a new professor of necromancy and you had spent enough time rebuffing him, he decided to head out over this way instead. It didn't seem to be, didn't seem like he felt particularly spurned. He just realized that he was wasting his efforts and pursued different engagements.
Respectable, not like complete weirdo.
No, but definitely strange. I mean, he is a necromancer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's
On the scale
odd.
of normal to weird, we're leaning weird, but not
Leaning
as
weird,
bad as
but
it could
but
be.
Yeah,
not, he's like
not
a
weird
Casa Jumbo
derogatory.
weird.
Is this going to be useful or problematic information?
I don't know.
Okay.
I remember.
An ally.
Are we still talking in front of this dude? Like, by the way?
Turn away if we want.
Just trying to keep that.
Oh, if you're just talking quietly in front of me.
Yeah, that was what I was going for, but
I mean, I would have, if that was the case, like, I just want to make sure. Should it be a problem thing?
Rook, you see his head just kind of extend forward towards you guys. It just kind of goes in between the three of you.
What are we whispering about?
I'm
Professor
from,
Baines.
I'm from Codsword. I've heard of him.
Ah, very good. I take it then your efforts lie in outside the academic.
Yeah, look, can I be real with you,
I would love
374? I
Professor
really don't like...
374.
I'm sorry, Professor. I didn't mean to go out of turn. You deserve all the respect. I'm sorry. I am a really big hater of the Black Myers, and I'm a big fan of the Warforged. I'll just put it that way to start with. I want to see Crown and Emma Blackmire out of the picture. And we'd like to know a little bit more about the boy, oh boy, the word went out of my mind. The thrumming thing. The
Conflux point.
Conflux point.
complex point. Yes, sorry.
Yeah.
The thrumming
thing.
Yes, yeah.
How do you remember
I
the word
described-
thrumming?
That's just what you described as earlier. I was like,
Yes, the thrumming thing.
yeah, you know.
I am wizard. Can't you tell?
Yes. Oddly enough, I believe you. And I do not meet many
Right.
of your kind. There are not many that would openly describe themselves as fans of the Warforged, as you so eloquently state. The thrumming thing in question. You are familiar with the work of Sabas Nalor.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
I have reason to believe that some of these new hires that are finding themselves on the premises of the Academy are working under his wing to conduct experiments there. I have done a few myself. Each school gets a turn with the conflux point. Each semester, a different tower has access to it. This semester was supposed to be Professor Bartag, but he was asked to stop looking into it about a week ago when the new BI contingent arrived. The same time our Professor Brown arrived.
Oh, great.
I do
we
not
perhaps-
know if she is looking into it or not. I just know that the timing seems awfully coincidental, and as somebody who studies time, well, I don't believe in coincidence.
So perhaps we should look into this Professor Brown.
There are lots of things you could look into, Lucas.
The name's Rook, if you like.
Have him make a history check. Another natural 20.
Fascinating.
Yes, I don't know if you've heard of the Castle Project or not.
I have.
Pleased
He's
to
just
meet
kind of
you.
like Pulls out like a sheaf of papers. Never takes his gaze off of you.
I would be very interested in further discourse.
Of course, I'll come to your next office hours.
Thank you.
Yeah, I went through a little bit of a reincarnation, just if that might clear some questions up for you.
A few.
Yeah. Well, I'm interested in dunamancy. Just as a side.
What
That's-
is your... Are you a wizard? Or
No, I'm a bard.
sort of like a diet wizard?
Yeah, can you work with that?
I might be able to.
Okay.
I think a few of us would be interested in learning a bit more
Just-
about that when given the
yeah.
time.
Perhaps some
Perhaps
early
we just
magics
all-
I can...
Yeah.
I'm interested in. You play with the weave, but gravity is inherently natural, and I'm curious about how that interplays with my side of things.
How sure are you about that? Does not everything come back to the weave eventually? Whether we are talking of divine powers from the gods, natural powers of the earth, the arcane powers of the mind, the innate powers of the heart and soul, or bonds that we make with powerful beings or oaths that we swear, it all comes back from creation. Gravity and time come from it too.
Interesting.
How different can nature be from the weave? If you cast an anti-magic field, a wizard cannot cast, nor can a druid.
I never thought it was necessarily different from, but I thought it interacted with it differently.
It does, which is why dunamancy lets you play with the weave itself. You do not interact with merely parts of it, but the weave, the whole. This is why it is so dangerous. But also very enlightening.
And potent, I'm sure.
And my neighbor, Professor Bartag, knows a thing or two about different ways of manipulating the weave towards all sorts of strange ends.
I'm interested in seeing his class too.
He has 4 students.
Oh.
Oh, sorry, 3. The other one left.
Who was that?
Well, when she left, she was part spectator.
Hmm.
Bottom part.
Oh,
That's
That's
the business.
unfortunate.
a quick question, by the way. Is there? We know of a few professors who probably share some of your sentiment. Is there anyone that would be as eager as you to deal with this problem?
Most
Bartag, maybe?
likely, Bartag, Balfin, and Baines are all relatively. There is also the evocation Professor Andra Nadine. She is not fond of BI, not necessarily as gung-ho about such things as I. I will
Alright,
make one
another one to the
warning.
list.
Before we continue in our endeavors together. My purpose for standing up against those I see to be tyrants is because of how strongly I value my freedom. I began my life as a pawn. I do not know all about you or what your intentions are, but I will be no one's pawn again. I will help insofar as it advances my interests, but I will not become a soldier in another army.
You don't have to join us, Professor.
Yeah.
We don't expect you to.
Good.
We make our own stupid decisions, and for some reason
Yeah.
people seem inclined to follow us into them.
But we try to do it all purely on our own. When we
Just-
can.
Just the 4 of you.
Currently.
Currently.
Interesting. Well, best of luck.
Thank
You
you.
should show him your Nifty little thing. I think he would recognize it.
Gonna have to.
The
What?
chain.
What are you talking
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
That is not what I thought he meant.
I say I got a lot of stuff, Cinder. You're gonna have to be more specific. Yes, it makes sense now. Yeah, I'll show him the. I'll show him the chain.
See if he knows what that is.
Very good indeed. Perhaps I am putting my eggs in the right basket.
As we
hope
said,
so.
no expectations, but people seem to choose anyway.
All right, but I have a 12:30 with a burgeoning student, so
All right. Well, based on that conversation, I'd like to see Professor Brown. Just being that the timing thing of her.
Define C.
Well, I assume she has a. Do all professors have a class right now?
no, she has office hours right now as well. She's in that central administration building for the moment.
Is there a pamphlet or something that lists office hours by chance?
It's usually noon to 1, and then anytime
Okay.
after 5, depending on the professor.
Gotcha.
Well, we still have time for her office hours.
Sure. I have one question for you that you may or may not be able to answer. The Lantiscar approached us when we were first walking around and said she saw much from her tower. Where are safe places here to talk? We just had a fairly
Right.
interesting conversation
This
with
room is safe.
potential for problems. Are there any other places that could be
Most-
assumed to be such?
Most of the head professors will have. We have strict guidelines about what is allowed to be cast here on the premises. Many anti-scry measures are put in place and have been for centuries.
Probably in all the offices.
Yes, in any of the towers.
Oh, okay, great.
Fair enough.
Good to know.
Just wanted to make sure. Alright, then. On to the next thing for each of us.
You guys head down to the main kind of central administration building there.
Yeah. Do you all want to go visit Brown
Um,
for the office hours, or do you want to visit other ones?
I think a big question is, what do we intend to get done with Bron?
I was gonna ask if maybe we could sit in on a class that looks into the
Thrumming
flux
thing.
point, the thrumming thing. You know.
Of course,
I
I'm gonna
was
forget.
I was mostly interested in going to the office hours so that we would be there if Rook ended up deciding to kill this person.
Well, why would
It's a
you
good idea,
say
actually,
such a
yeah.
thing?
We don't have Millicent anymore.
Yeah.
Just a hunch.
Well, let's go then.
You guys enter the main room here of the administration building. You can just see there's this gigantic, like, circular wooden table. You can see there's like a little plaque emblazoned on it. It says, like, this table was created by the hands of Saint Baranon himself shortly before the Ascension for the first inaugural meeting of the Council, in all caps.
Oh, I wonder why they spell it like that.
There are a number of stairwells that lead down into the underground areas where the building becomes much bigger. You kind of head downward and you can see there's just this almost like train station like underground cavern with lots of continual flames lighting the place. Lots of students milling about, almost like a cafeteria kind of. And you can see there's a number of halls and doors headed off of them. There is one that strikes your eye very quickly with two uniformed BI officers standing out front.
Go and see what that one is.
It seems to be the temporary office of Professor Brown.
Oh, Look at the two officers. Is she in right now?
Yeah, she is. Are you here for office hours or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, she doesn't have a student in there right now. If you want to, all of you.
Yeah, if that's all right.
Sure.
We're new.
Yeah, why not?
You know, give it a knock.
You just hear somebody tell you come in.
Open it
the
up.
door. Lindsay, if you want to tell them what they see.
Oh no. Oh
Uh,
no.
Yeah, I would love to. So you walk in and you see an elderly lady, like in her 70s. She has some armor on. She kind of like has a little cane in her hand, and you can kind of see off to the side like a robotic leg on her right side, and she's just kind of like at her desk writing something. What do you want?
Hello, Professor. We're hoping we could have a few minutes of your time.
Ah, sure. Sit down.
Okay, thank you.
It's like just regular chairs. It's like definitely a makeshift office.
Say we're late transfer students. We were hoping that maybe we could sit in on a few classes that. Well, we heard that perhaps your classes were looking into the conflux point.
Ah, yeah. I mean, I'm assuming that's what level, like,
It's
like
very
it's-
far down.
yeah.
But it is some of the upper level classes that are looking into that.
Okay. You say you guys are new students?
Yes.
That'd be officially enrolled for you to join that class. I mean, definitely in the future, but unfortunately can't let you have permission without registration. Who's your sponsor?
Professor Gerhardt.
Let me see it.
Yes, here you go.
Just give it back. What are your interests in the conflux points?
Well, mine is a bit into grid liner maintenance. I came here looking a little bit into that. I figured I could glean something from it, and maybe I could make something better. Down the line, of course. I'm a somewhat of a crafter myself.
What kind of crafts?
Mostly right now just alchemy. And sometimes some spell crafting.
Interesting. You two, anything else? Or are you just tagging along?
I'm just tagging along, really. I'm trying to figure things out.
Roger's here too.
Yeah, I'm here.
He's just short. Sorry.
I'm interested in the conflux point because we grew up rather far from one, and it seems like it was a big benefit to the cities that were built on them. I'm curious to see how that interacts and how that was, how that can be used.
Here also is. There's your.
Oh yeah.
There's your lady. Let's see. Once again, big props to 84. Cranked that out for us in a week.
Oh my
Yeah.
god. Christ.
Yeah. Came out great.
Props to him for his art skills, but also he is paid.
Well, of course.
Helps.
Yes.
Well, if you really want to get access, you'll probably have to talk to the headmaster himself. But really, it's been kind of not much access at this point in time.
Do you think it's likely that we could get a meeting with Grabblepibs?
Do I know his schedule? Like, do I feel like he
You
sees
know, it's
students
possible,
often?
but it doesn't really. Yeah, he doesn't. You're not really sure why he would want to see some random new students.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess also, like, outside of class time, do they ever just give tours for the other registered students whose semester is not currently, in for visitation?
I will say I am fairly new. Was a professor here, but I've taught some guest lectures over the years, and yes, to the different towers, but I wouldn't say to the conflux point itself. So, especially in recent years. It's been kind of weird lately. They've been having tight wrap on that area.
Who would do that if we were to talk to the headmaster or one of the professors in charge of a school like yourself? Is there somebody that oversees it beyond that?
Do I know, like, the BI are outside my doors? Like,
Yeah.
do I feel like my room is soundproof, or do I,
Yeah,
like...
you could maybe talk a little more quietly, but yeah, you'd probably be okay.
Mhm. There's been a lot going on with Kron coming in back and forth recently. And I'm really not trying to get into any of that mess, but they seem to be having some interest there. And I think it would be best for you guys to stay away.
Okay.
Well, now I just want to know what's there even more.
I wasn't gonna say that here. How did you end up here in this specific teaching role? This is a new
Yeah.
course of study for the university, isn't it?
It is. I'm great friends with the headmaster, and I've taught classes over the years, and now that I'm kind of retired and need something else to do with my life, I kind of reached out to him and thought about maybe helping with the new artificers that are out and about and give them more formalized education to help them along the path. So we're kind of it's a newer program we're trying to pilot and hoping to get more students to come.
Do some sort of artificer-like work beforehand or something to...
It's like look at my leg, look back. It's like many years in the factories. But that's a lot of old stories. I don't think you guys want to hear that.
No stories about Drexler.
I did work there for a long time.
Oh, me too. Just a little bit. Little internship.
How do they look at their seeming? Like,
They look like
like,
they look like
like how?
teenagers.
Yeah.
They look like 4 nondescript teenagers.
Yeah, teenagers. Yeah.
Can I like insight her and see if she's hiding anything about her previous work?
Yeah. Lindsay, you can make whatever roll is appropriate.
You want the insight
Yeah.
in the tower or no?
Nah, you know it's gonna be high.
It's true.
Lindsay, I don't imagine it particularly matters what you're rolling, but I guess we'll see anyway.
No, not really. It's gonna be the same. To be honest.
Ooh, first roll was a 19.
Guess we...
Oh, well.
Wow.
Wow.
Still not good enough. Yeah, I mean, she's
Yeah.
definitely I don't think she's really trying to make you think she's not keeping something from you. She's like, yeah, who are these 4 children that I don't know asking me about my entire life story? First, they're like, show us the complex point. And then they're like,
Yeah.
so where you're from? Tell me your whole life story. Well, this guy's going to be vaguely threatening. Yeah, she's keeping some things close to the chest. And you're like, I would too.
That's fair. We've spoken to a couple professors so far. None of the others had guards outside their door that asked us why we were here. I just thought that anybody who wanted to have office hours with the professors could. It just seems, I don't know.
A little strange. A little
I'm just-
strange, maybe.
I'm just a little uncomfortable, but I suppose that's a feature of being new. So
Having armed guards outside. BI armed guards. Weird.
You know, I don't like being watched on either, but they're just kind of there, so I just do whatever. I don't care at this point.
Hmm.
I've been with them for many years, until recently since I retired. So maybe they're just give me a little service, help this old poor woman out.
okay.
All right. Well, that's all I got, I guess. But
Well, if you do want to discuss more things, you can always come back to the next office hours.
sure,
I'll be
yeah,
around.
yeah. Them too. Yeah.
Could we maybe sit in on one of your classes?
Of course. Anyone's welcome.
Is the
Oh.
next one a lower level class?
It should be. Going over the basics.
Great, great. Oh, do you know Professor Bartak? Aberrancy guy.
I mean, a little bit. I've interacted with them just only a little, but
Yeah.
kind of a guy. Kind of weird.
What about Professor 374? Does he seem like a fine?
I mean, knowledgeable about what he does. Very new school, so could be kind of interesting.
All right. Oh, my friends was. Which one were you looking at? Professor Michaels? Is that who you were? Ignatius?
Yes, I'm hoping to speak to him.
I would be careful around him.
What's wrong with him?
Let's just say I wouldn't go talking about conflicts points with around that professor. Might step on some toes. Just a little advice.
Same perhaps with Professor Karloff?
I would be.
Alright.
The vibes in here are getting real weird.
Yeah.
Let's we're gonna
You
be on
done
our
now?
way. Yeah, we're done.
Yeah,
Issue.
yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
okay.
okay.
Alright, thank you.
What a grumpy old lady.
But also, like, kind of weirdly helpful too.
Yeah,
but
that was
seeming
weird.
like she didn't want to be acknowledged to be helpful.
Seemed like she. Well, Ross, we're out of the room at this point, right?
Yeah,
We
you
have
guys
to be.
can walk
Yeah.
away from the guards.
The B.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Kind of getting the vibe that even though she retired, she's not liking the fact that BI is still on her case.
Yeah.
She didn't seem to she did somewhat warn us about the two BI aligned professors.
Noticed that.
And I will say as far as I could glean, she didn't think poorly of 374 just because he's a Warforged and a professor, but I don't know.
She did say she worked for BI for many years, and that seems like that can only breed one of two kinds of people. People that are all for them, or people that are pretty all against them.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really an organization that encourages mediocrity or complacence.
Mm-hmm.
Further conversation could be interesting.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. For the
If-
conversation. Yes.
If we succeed in doing so without having to beat around every bush in existence like we did just now.
What should we go straight in like we did with 374?
No, I think she would be much more conversational without the spies outside her door.
Well, how are we gonna fix that?
I don't know. You're the creative one.
I also think
I
that might
got
be a
an
matter of
idea.
opportunity. Oh no, what do you have?
I think I can still
Where's-
turn into a big robot, can't I?
I mean, sure, but you're in a place full of wizards. Like you're.
I mean, if the two guards just suddenly weren't.
Oh, well, I could do that. Yeah.
Neat.
But also, like, we're in the middle of us. Like, I'm going to guess even if classes are in session, there's like just people about.
Yeah, for the most part.
Well, I mean, this little corridor down here, is it fairly empty or no?
Yeah.
Well, it's a fine spot.
You
for it.
also
That's-
feel like, you know, they're mostly guards. Like she probably has time where she's not like around them and could
Yeah,
probably
sure.
ask them to leave if she wanted to.
Maybe we catch her at a time, yeah, that she's not being listened in on, perhaps.
Maybe.
I don't know how the school schedule works, so maybe just after school.
I was gonna say everybody has to end at some point, right?
Yeah.
Just before we pass judgment, maybe a freer conversation would be worth it.
Yeah. Good choice of words, yes. Alright, well, I guess you all want to just sit in on some classes?
Sure.
I mean, I guess we're here, right? It's kind of what.
Yeah,
you do.
we're here anyways.
You guys come out of the corridor and you can see the main kind of cafeteria area seems to have pretty much emptied out by this point. This seems to be about time for classes. You hear this like scuffling of like a few footfalls, and you see this coming down the hallway near you guys at like a full sprint is this purple skinned tiefling guy. You can see he's got this dark red hair and it's tucked underneath this like beanie that he has on with his horns kind of coming out in front of it, holding it on. And he almost has like a couple of scales on some of his arms. Trailing behind him is this young-looking human man with like a mop of brown hair holding a clipboard. You see the tiefling guy runs up.
Hello. Did either of you see a thing?
Thing.
A big thing. Tom, how'd you describe it? Boss, that's a class 2 beholder, man. Yeah, class 2 beholder. Lots of eyes. You hear this like scream and explosion. That way. I'm going that way.
Oh, that sounds like it, yeah.
Oh, there's more things. You have duck under something. Okay. Tom, take this
Okay.
gun. We are in pursuit of the thing, and it is going to try and disintegrate myself, and I will see if I can stop it.
You see the guy with the clipboard. It's like, yeah, no, for sure, boss. Do you think disintegration's the right word?
No, it's yeah.
Hey,
You see
are you
them-
with Professor Bartak's class?
You see him. It's like,
I am Professor Bartag.
and he like
Oh.
runs off. You see, coming around the corner on the other end of the cafeteria is a large beholder that he immediately begins to sprint towards and start casting some spells. Rook, you feel a hand on your head. and you see. Hang on. Try not to.
Oh no,
Too many things on my screen at one time.
I'm afraid.
You see a couple of these things
Oh,
Oh.
that
somebody
come
tell me what's on my head.
floating down the hallway. They start to like grab you and like pull your hair a little bit. They start to try and steal
Ow.
a few things.
Ow. Stop.
And then they get chased into the closer to the closer area of the cafeteria to you. As you see coming down the hallway behind you guys is one of these things, which like takes up the
Oh
entire
my
hallway.
No.
Oh,
You look up ahead and you see Tom and Bartag are just like slinging spells at this beholder that's like disintegrating tables.
Well, this
Agatha,
got out
you
of
hear
hand.
this. You hear this thing coming out down the hallway past your office as it just tramples over the two BI guards outside your door.
Oh.
Heavy sighs.
This is not an uncommon occurrence from Professor Bartag.
Yeah. Like, I think he, like, just sits in her office, just like, I'm just let it happen for a little while, see if it resolves itself.
It does not seem to be. It seems to have killed the two guards outside your hall as you guys are here getting pestered by these two flying hand things.
is there any professors around to help with this?
I just, like, start walking down the hallway.
Okay. We'll go ahead and stop there for tonight.
All right.
Yeah.
As next time you guys can fight the Devouring Angel and
Oh my god.
the Snatch Bats.
Fascinating.
I don't like the anchor in the
Snatch
image of the snatch bats. How
Right?
big
It's
are
No.
because
they?
they steal things. Oh,
They
they're.
stole the anchor.
Let me see how big they are. That's a good
Is
question.
there just a little anchor for no reason?
That's a
I'm
treat.
willing to bet it's a
Yeah,
bigging.
they're medium, so.
Oh,
Okay,
it's just a little anchor. Yeah.
so they're not going to snatch all of you.
They're just flying hands.
Yeah.
No, they just like to steal things.
and- and, touch all my head right there at the end.
Hello.
Hello. All right, well,
That's me.
I don't know when we're playing next, but
Next week should hopefully be
for the
okay.
6th?
Next week should be okay.
Great.
The week after that, not good. But next week, okay.
All right, well,
Yeah.
we'll see you next week then. Bye.
Goodbye.